All right. So we are going to be playing Kingdom Hearts 2 on critical mode and doing the 80% category, which is beating the game as fast as possible. I am Ninten. This is the Midget 2000, and that is Vgmaster.
Hello.
All right, we are ready to start.
I'm ready whenever.
That sounds good.
Problems?
Okay.
We're good?
Are we good to start? Or? Yeah? Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to count you guys in. I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, go. You guys go on go.
All right.
All right? All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. All right, so we're here in Roxas World. This is a really long tutorial-like section world. We'll be just going through text boxes here and walking through as Roxas. This world is actually really difficult to play fast. Roxas is really weird to control because he's meant to be like kind of bad with the keyblade right now. I think he's kind of rusty with it. So
his combos are just really weird.
Yeah. At the beginning, we'll be doing an RNG manip on Cypher, and the manip will be going on for the first couple minutes of the run. So all the combos that we do on the first couple of dusks and Cypher here will be very precise, and if we mess up the combo, then the manip is gone. But it's not too bad, so we should get it. Nice, I'm assuming VG got it.
VG got it.
Nice.
I
And
was
I got
worried
it.
about missing
You
that.
got it.
All right.
Just makes things very annoying if that goes wrong. Dusks do not behave.
No,
Yeah.
they are terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, more painful than shadows.
Sometimes, yeah. Shadows are pretty bad.
Shadows, yeah, you'll see later on in the run how bad Shadows can be.
Yeah.
So right here, we're going to be depth abusing to the dusk. We're playing a critical mode, which is the hardest difficulty of the game. It means that we take a lot more damage, but we also deal a little bit more damage than standard and proud mode. And what's nice about critical mode is that we're able to die in certain fights to progress the game. The game doesn't punish you for dying in some parts. So we were able to depth abuse right there. Because of the RNG manip, we were able to die in the corner from the dusk.
Yeah, they actually set up which move the Dusk was going to use to kill them the most efficient way.
Yeah.
And that'll continue on to the next Dusk as well to help the fight go smoothly.
Alright. You saw him make a save there, which is not normally needed to be done. But for this run, the game can potentially, hopefully not, crash certain points. And we use an autosave mod, which requires there to be a save somewhere. So
Yeah, there's one
just for
particular spot where the game could randomly crash, but it most likely won't happen, so we should be fine.
688, not bad, not bad.
Nah, I lost.
680.
The real race.
Oh,
I won the real race. So my delivery is just the same every time. You have to just press triangle at the right time. We try to be in the air when we're delivering the letters because it gives you less lag between each RC. So now we only need to do one job, actually. Most people think you have to do multiple jobs to get enough money, but after doing one, you're able to talk to Hainer and continue the game.
You just don't get any bonus AP.
Yeah.
Which we don't need because it's
No,
pretty
yeah, in critical mode, you start with 50 AP. You'll see that later on. We have a lot of abilities as well. So we're going up to the next dusk here. This one, it can end on doing 10 hits or dying to it, but doing hits on him is actually faster than dying this time. So we'll be doing 10 hits to him. If we did the manip right, then he does the same thing every time that we want, and I got it correctly.
I did not get the
Oh, no.
on the other dust, so I had to do some weird combos there, but it's not too bad.
Now, we picked the shield here as our weapon. The reason we do that is because in this game, which weapon you pick determines what abilities you get as you level up. It's not like the other Kingdom Hearts games where they might determine your stats. It's purely based on abilities. And on critical mode, we use it for a bit of defensive abilities at a certain point in the game.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning that actually the most optimal route does sword routes because you get more offensive abilities and you're able to cut out some things, but it's way harder. It doesn't save that much time. It's really only worth it if you're trying to go for world record. So for a marathon run, it's just much safer that we go for shield.
Yeah.
So right there on Ninten's screen, you can see there were so many abilities. We have Finishing Plus, we have Draw. There's so many bonus abilities that Critical Mode gives that I guess it allows you to get a leg up on some of the other difficulties to compensate for the fact that you take so much more damage and have like so much less health.
Yeah.
Yeah, Critical Mode is actually a really cool difficulty in that way because the game is much harder, but you have things that make up for it, like you... well, actually, other things to mention is that we have less magic and less HP, and we get a little bit less EXP. But yeah, it compensates with it with more abilities and doing a bit more damage.
I think a good way to think about it is like it's more, instead of artificially making the game more difficult by making bosses take longer or your hits just do less, they give you things that, I guess, encourage more skill-based play.
Yeah. So actually, it's actually not much slower than beginner mode, by the way. Which is what's so cool about this category is that we can die in any fight. It's a very scary category, but if you do it optimally, then it's actually really fast.
Yeah. We're on the first boss of the game here, Twilight Thorn. Real big nobody dude. It starts off with a kind of auto-scroller sequence, so it's just teaching you how to do the reaction commands, which you do with triangle. We can just mash through this, basically. Does a bit of damage to him and he'll fall down.
Yeah,
in the combos.
So right here, he's going to be stunned for a while, and we want to get 4 air combos left. That is what we aim for. It can be hard, like we mentioned before. Roxas is not very easy to combo with, but I try to get 4 combos here. And I got it, thankfully. And now I'm going to be doing
very smooth.
Another air combo on the head as he jumps down here. Now we're going to position ourselves in a very particular spot because he'll shoot out vines, but he'll only shoot them out if you're in certain spots next to his head. So if we stand in this one spot, he actually won't launch too many, and we can get a lot of combos left, and that was a pretty good fight.
Fantastic. Good fight from both of you.
Yep. All right.
Alright, so now we're moving on to the struggle fights. So, sort of like a little mini game to progress the story. You fight a couple of your friends, Hayner and Vivi. You've got to knock the orbs out of them and collect them all. There's certain combos you can do in order to sort of manipulate the fights. This is a great example of what's called revenge value in this game, where if you hit an enemy a certain number of times, they will eventually retaliate. They'll break out of whatever you're doing to them. So we combo in a certain way to let them hit when they're going to hit, avoid it, and then keep going with our combos at the right time.
Yeah, so this whole concept of revenge value, we'll be doing a lot more strats that involve manipulating that later on. Right here, we're going to try to dodge Vivi's retaliation here, and do these combos are actually very specific. We're going to get hit on purpose right here, do an aerial recovery, and do an air hit as we fall down, then do another 2 finishers, and that should knock Vivi down. He has 1 more orb, but that's okay. And
very nice.
That's good, yep. Now we got some more Dusks right here. Thankfully, they have a reaction command called a reversal, and that stuns them for a bit, so we can take use of that to make the fight a bit more consistent.
Now what you'll notice they're trying to do here is they're actually avoiding using finishers on their combos, and that's because Roxas's finisher in particular, it's a big spin, big area of effect, knocks the enemies really far away. But what they want to try and do is just keep the enemies controlled, keep them together, so they can get multiple hits and be really efficient.
Yeah, next right here, we're going to start off with an air combo and dodge his first attack. Now we're going to try to dodge that attack by walking around him, then do 3 more air combos, and that beats him. It's a bit hard without guard. You can put on guard to make that a bit easier, but thankfully we got it, I think.
Yeah, I was. Ignore my low HP. That definitely went all according to plan.
Speaking of low HP, we actually want to lose to Setsu here because if you lose, you get an item called the Medal, which gives you plus strength. And if you win, you get an item called the Champion Belt, which gives you armor. And we want the Medal because the +1 strength actually makes a gigantic difference throughout the game.
Huge difference. And the armor, honestly, like, well, we're on critical mode, so if we get hit, we're dead anyway, right?
Yeah.
We're not trying to be safe here. It's also just way slower to try and actually beat him.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we we end the fight about 50 seconds, so we save 50 seconds there. We have the 7 wonders now. These are just small mini games. They're not too difficult to do. Got a menu first. We're gonna put on the medal and put on guard and scan.
Also, to note here, they switch off summon animations because this game luckily gave you that option. It just saves you a whole bunch of time in cutscenes whenever you're doing summons throughout the game.
Yep. So right here, the bars come out in the same order every time, so it's actually pretty easy. You just move left and then back right, and that's it.
Yeah.
I was always a firm believer of if I got hit by the ball wall, I need to finish that run. that was the one that was going to PB.
Yeah.
So this part right here is actually kind of tricky. These are VB clones, and there's actually 14 of them. And they spawn kind of randomly. You want to catch them at the beginning there, and they'll always do the same thing every time. They'll jump around and then do a hit, and the hit launches you up really far up. So you want to avoid getting hit by that, but you also want to get them before they get their attack off. They're lining up pretty nicely here for me.
Okay. Where are these VV clones in my run?
Yeah.
they just like all spawned right next to me.
VG's clones were awesome.
Yeah. Mine were not so good.
Yeah. Yeah, their spawn locations are random. Sometimes they just spawn on the other side of the room and you like have no chance to get over to them before they'll start an attack.
For sure. Now we have a Shadow Roxas, which is just a one-on-one fight rather than a big sort of mob fight. Once again, comboing him specifically in a way to make sure he only retaliates when we want to.
If you do it right, of course.
If you do it right.
Yeah, so the goal
really
here
short
is
dude.
to get him in this corner, and you can just do a bunch of air combos if you're if you're good at Roxas air combos, you can do that. It's actually very difficult to do.
Yeah.
To give you an idea
lot
on
of trouble here.
how much the metal makes a difference here,
Okay.
Shadow Roxas actually takes like an extra, what, 1.5 combos
Yeah, it takes
to
a
kill
lot
him
more
without
hits.
having the metal. So
Yeah.
that's an example of why we wanted to get that before.
And now is actually a good time for donations because we just have a bag minigame right here.
Fantastic. We have a $10 donation from Spacey L1 who says, "This game has no flan, so take this Nint flan." I'd also just like to remind everyone that we have a couple donation challenges coming up. Hollow Knight, the next run, has a challenge between Save and Abandon the Grub. Save currently has $150, Abandon has $50. So if you're keen to see a grub get abandoned, get those donations in. We also have Peter Jackson's King Kong. You can either save or leave Kong. $20 for save, $0 for leave at the moment. So get your donations in for those if you'd like to see either of those outcomes.
Alright, I got hit by a trash can there, but ignore that.
Oh no.
Well, that's the run that's going to PB.
Yeah, I hope so. So we're just going to walk over to this room back here and then activate a cutscene and walk back to the mansion. There's a lot of walking in this world.
Yeah, this is just a bit of plot going on here.
Yeah.
This is we're just cruising through.
Oh god, please.
No.
It's actually slightly faster to grab this skateboard and then go forward than to walk there. Seems like a frame.
The movement in this world is actually really optimized, despite how
Yeah.
sort of little there is, I guess, in terms of different movement. The movement's really optimized.
Yeah, this whole world is actually extremely optimized. It's actually very... You can lose like 30 seconds really easily here. It's a very difficult world to execute.
I can't get anywhere near the Roxas worlds you guys get.
It takes a lot.
It's not easy, yeah.
Yeah.
Just being a whole different character for the first segment of the game.
Well, you're
makes
basically KH1 Sora.
Yeah.
His moveset is basically the same.
One thing I wanted to mention is that Vgmaster is on an SSD and I'm on an HDD, which is why our loads are a bit different. But it shouldn't make a huge difference at the end of the game.
After all, we are running critical mode, and literally anything
Yeah,
could
one
happen.
dev can make a huge can turn the tides of the race. So right here we have our first introduction to the assassins. Whenever they spawn, they do attack, and we want to avoid that and then catch them right after. And we'll be dealing with them a lot more later on.
Yeah.
Very nice. So now more plots happening.
Yeah.
Running to the next fight.
This world is actually a very, very long world if you watch all these cutscenes.
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
Thank heavens we can skip them.
It actually takes like an extra 3 or 2 hours with
Like,
cutscenes.
Yeah. Just so much like flashbacks that happen.
Like, you consider this world is like, what, 15 minutes long, roughly? And then you've got other worlds that are like 5.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
still the longest like single world segment in the game. At least once gummies are taken out of
Yeah.
operation, which we will do because we don't need to deal with that.
Oh yeah, so it is worth mentioning we're running on PC and with the Gummy Skip mod. So the gummy missions are just auto scorers. You cannot speed them up at all, and they really don't add any value to the run. So we decided to skip them, and it saves a bunch of time.
Yeah. It's like over 20 minutes of time that we get to spend running through the game. And the other thing is that it's mostly at the beginning. It just makes it much nicer to not have to worry about doing them all again if you ever need to reset runs. So
Oh, the quicker early game is just crazy to me to see, like, the amount of time you save. And it's amazing to see, I guess, a speedrun community so receptive to just quality of life improvements for all their runners.
For sure, yeah. All right, so we got the basement right here. There's going to be 4 Dusks at the start, and we want to kill 3 of them, and then 2 assassins will spawn. And we want to kill the assassins next, and we want to make sure we catch them as they spawn, because once the assassins get away from you, they can waste a bunch of time. You can also die here if you're not careful, but that should not happen.
Assassins share that similar trait with Shadows, where they can actually go underground, but they also have another scary mechanic where they can sort of explode on you, defeating them and taking like most of your health in the process. Very scary.
Yeah, I can actually one-shot you later on. And right there, he almost exploded right there, but I was able to catch him before he did. So now we're on to
Nice.
Axo 2. We're doing a particular set of combos here, just 2 hits, and then ground combo into an air combo, which will cause him to go into the firewall. And then we're going to mash out the RC in the middle of the room and try to get a lot of damage from that, and then do an air combo, and this should defeat him. Nice.
Yeah, we want to make sure we hit his revenge value, that point where he's going to retaliate in the air, to make sure he does that reaction command. And because we're on critical mode, we actually have the reaction boost bonus ability, meaning the reaction command does significantly more damage.
yeah, 50% more.
Yeah, and if you notice, we didn't do the second part of the reaction command because we don't need to remove the lava floor.
So a quick menu here. What's happening is basically we're taking some abilities off, mostly Cure, because we want to death abuse in some areas. We also changed the way the party members act. That's a nice little improvement on Kingdom Hearts 1 in this game, where you can actually direct your party members a little bit better. And what we've set them up to do is attack anything that Sora is not focusing on. That way, they won't interrupt when we're trying to death abuse. They also won't like push away enemies that we're trying to kill. Things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right here we're going to be death abusing, and they're on party attack, which means that they are meant to attack the nobodies, but they shouldn't attack the ones that we attack. So they should leave us alone right here. And it is more consistent to put them to Sora attack, so they don't attack anything at all. But it's just a small optimization to have them on party the whole time, never have the menu again.
You still, at some point, do want them to actually be dealing a little bit of damage.
Yeah.
Helps on some mob fights, particularly the couple coming up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we're going to be dealing with the shadows now, which I'm sure you saw a lot of if you watched the KH1 run earlier. These shadows we're actually going to death abuse to as well, but it's very luck-based and it can go very badly, so I hope that I get good luck here.
The jumps are good.
So yeah, sometimes they can just
There we
sit
go.
there doing nothing.
That was lucky right there. That was pretty
That
good.
was lucky.
Ooh.
Pick
I
up a
got the
quick,
good start.
quick ether.
Nice, okay.
Yeah,
well,
gonna grab an ether chest. So we'll be grabbing some ether chests throughout the run. I believe that's the only chest we'll be grabbing other than a stat boost later on as well.
There's one in LOD.
Yeah. Yeah, and there are AP boosts that you would grab on other categories, but again, because we're on critical mode, we have 50 AP, and we're able to use that. That's enough for all the abilities we need throughout the run.
Yeah, we never have to worry about unequipping something to make room, which is nice.
That was a pretty good fight right there.
That was a really good fight.
Right there, you really want Donald to use Thunder because it can almost kill the shadows by itself. Giffy can also help a bit too, but it's more often that Donald will use Thunder and help us out a ton.
Yeah. Donald Thunder in the early game, we
Super
really wanted
strong.
to help us quite a bit with that ability. It does a bit of a swap later on, and towards the late game, Goofy's actually the one that can do the most damage. But for now, it's Donald.
So we're using the Cyclone RC right there, which is from the soldiers. If you do 2 hits and then drop and then do another hit, they'll always do the Cyclone. Well, actually, not always. Sometimes they won't, but
Like this.
yeah, if you're unlucky, they will.
Yeah.
But you want to get the Cyclone RC and you want to kill 3 soldiers with it. I killed 2. It's pretty hard to get the 3rd one. But that was still an okay fight right there.
It's awesome to see the knowledge these runners have, just knowing that 3 staggers will just cause the soldier to react in a particular way. All that sort of knowledge gets routed into this run to make it really optimal.
Yeah, it's actually hard to tell the small details that we have to keep track of during the run as a spectator, but there are a lot of really small things that we have in the back of our minds throughout all of the mob fights and boss fights.
It's what I guess makes this run really super interesting, considering for the most part it's actually glitchless compared to a lot of other speedruns, which will prominently feature glitches.
Oh yeah, Kingdom Hearts is known for being fairly glitchless throughout the entire series. KH2 especially, there's really no like skips or anything that we do. I can't think of right now.
No, not outside of
Not in
like
any
extended categories. Yeah.
Yeah. So we just got access to our first drive form there, Valor form, which is essentially a transformation Sora can do, where he sort of, Goofy disappears and Sora gets extra abilities, a whole extra Keyblade, and it also, in the interest of speedrunning, we also run faster, so we will use it immediately.
Let's go.
Yes, we're using Valor form for movement here. Later on we'll get better movement, but for now Valor is all we got and gets the job done. So right here we're fighting some Dusks. You can actually die in this fight and the game will continue, which is really bad because we need the EXP. The EXP is actually pretty important for the early game here. I killed a soldier on the way up the tower to just make sure that I have enough. And I'll be killing some soldiers right here as well. We want to hit a certain level by certain boss fights in this game because the strength ups will give you +2 strength and that makes a gigantic difference. Like it's pretty necessary that you hit the right level at certain times.
You heard me mention before just how much difference the 1 point of strength from the metal added. A whole combo less on a particular enemy. So if you think every strength increase being 2 strength points, yeah, that's massive.
Yeah. And now we're going on to Bailey here. And we'll be introduced to the Samurai after this Dusk Wave. And this fight is actually pretty infamous in speedrunning because it is incredibly luck-based if you get dual stances because of Leon and the security system. And we want to get dual stances from the Samurai, which is their reaction commands, because it kills it one-shots all of the noblies surrounding the Samurai. So if you get really lucky, you can kill everything like super fast. But the problem is that Leon and the security system can knock them away from you. So you want that to not happen here. This looks like a good dual stance. Alright. We want to kill the creepers as soon as we can, which is the small noblies right there, because it will spawn the last wave of Dusks, but they won't spawn until the creepers are dead. We also want to kill the Samurai as fast as we can because they're very hard to deal with, and Leon and the security system don't do like any damage to them. This is like a pretty good Bailey for me, I think.
The Samurai are also like, they can kill you so fast if they catch you in a combo. So, yeah, very important to make sure you know which enemies to focus on at which particular time.
Oh yeah, it's really easy to die in this fight actually. If I ever got hit by the Samurai, they would combo me. Another thing to mention is that you can use Blizzard in that fight. We got Blizzard, which is our first spell, and it's good for long range attacks, so I like to walk back and Blizzard some of the Dusks if they're far away.
Yeah. Bit of unfortunate Leon RNG for VG there. You can notice how Leon would just push the enemies way out of the way.
Yeah, Leon
basically
is the main
things we were
problem
trying
with
not to do earlier, like with Roxas, not to knock enemies away. We want to control them, but he just did that anyway.
Yeah.
Now I'll reiterate. Now you'll see, Ninten obviously just skipped the gummy. VG's now just skipping the gummy. We're playing on PC, and we've adopted the gummy skip mod. As we said, they're auto scrollers. They don't actually add anything really to the gameplay. Just a nice quality of life.
Yeah, that gummy is like 3 minutes long. They're all between 3 and 4 minutes, so it's just a lot of time not doing anything. Right here we have the Mission 0, as we like to call it. It's just a fight before you have to do the missions here in LOD. And we had the option between LOD and Beast Castle, but LOD is a better choice because you get a lot more EXP, which we mentioned before is very important. So right there, there's a lot of shadows. It's a really luck-based mission.
Yeah.
You just want to catch the shadows before they go back underground. And now we want to hit level 2 Valor right here, which I just did. And that's another reason we got... I killed some more soldiers earlier. So the way that Valor works is that it levels up based off of the amount of hits that you do in Valor form. And every drive form has a different way of leveling. So Valor levels by hits, Wisdom levels by hardest kills, and I won't explain all of them right now, but they all have unique ways of leveling, and we have to get Valor level 2 because we're going to be using Valor form later on. And the higher level that Valor form is, the longer that we can stay in that form.
Very nice. This next mission is actually quite scary because it introduces the, I don't know, the Assault Riders.
Yeah,
that's the name.
Yeah.
Really big enemy. You have to control it and hit it in a certain way because a lot of its attacks can actually just one-shot you on critical mode. You know, the scary thing about having, you know, half HP increases and taking double damage. So we have to make sure that we bait them in a certain way so we can combo them after. Keep them staggered in a certain way, and then clear them just like that.
Yeah, so they'll do one attack, and we want to dodge that, and then try to catch them with the after the attack is over. And after we do a finisher, which is the end of our combo, it staggers them, and then we can do combos after that to kill them. The scary part is just trying to get the first stagger off, because they can near one-shot you. I don't think they can quite one-shot you, but they do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
If the spin catches you in the wrong moment, then yeah, you're probably dead.
Yeah. So now we got mission 3. This mission, we just have to find shadows, and we're using fire because fire is active for a lot of frames around Sora. And if they go above ground, sometimes they'll go back underground like a frame later. But if you use fire, then you can catch them before they go underground. So we want to use fire on the shadows as much as we can. And after we kill all but 3, or after we kill the last shadow, there will be 3 more Nightwalkers that spawn. And we want to go Valor form at the end of this mission. Or I'm going to go Valor right now, actually.
A quick switch to Goofy there because we can only go Valor form while Goofy's in the party. However, previously we obviously wanted him out of the way so we could get Donald thundering the enemies.
Yeah. We bring Goofy back in to immediately absorb his powers.
Now, obviously, we've got a longer lasting form here, which is fantastic because we get to use it for movement here, and it helps us clean up this this mountain climb a lot quicker. So just bonus in speed just all around.
Yeah, and one thing to mention here is that most people don't know that you can target switch in this game. But if you hold down the R2 button and move the right stick, you are able to switch targets. And we use that throughout the run quite a bit, actually. But it's a very hard thing to get used to because of how awkward it is to switch targets in this game.
Yeah, they didn't make it so easy controls-wise as they did in other games.
That was a good mountain climb, though.
You guys had both really good mountain climbs.
Yeah. I missed a soldier kill at the beginning, so that might mean I need a little bit more experience at Summon Fight, but it should be fine.
Yeah, so coming up in this world, there'll be a fight that we want to hit a certain level at, or get enough EXP, rather. But first we got Cave Fight, and in Cave Fight we have more Assault Riders and a bunch of shadows. So this fight is a bit annoying because the shadows can group up on you and combo you to death. And it happens pretty quickly. The one thing to mention is that we have potions equipped. I only have 1 right now. I'm not sure how many VG has. But
I've got 2.
okay, that's safer than me. And so if we get hit, we can throw a potion. We have a couple potions to spare.
Yeah, it's really important in critical mode to at least maybe have just a little bit of healing because the wrong hit can just put you into such a dubious situation. And the thing is, I guess you don't, at this point in the game, really need ethers as much. So you may as well use the item slots for safety.
Give me strength.
Yeah, so the reason that I have 1 is because I want 2 ethers to be equipped later on in the game.
Yeah.
I might equip more potions later on for a fight coming up that is very scary. But we'll mention that when we get there. For now, we're going to the summit, and this is a timed fight where we want to get as much EXP as possible. We want to have, I think, 128 EXP until level 10, because level 10 is a strength up, and we want to hit that for the boss fight of this world.
So, because this fight is timed, there's not a whole lot to really explain about it, other than just sort of control the enemies, use the RCs, get XP. This is a great time for more donations.
Thank you. Yeah, we've got a $20 donation from Playoff Fondo, who says, "Good luck with the run, Vgmaster and Ninten, and welcome back to Australia. I've heard rumours that people go faster down here, I think because the gravity's stronger. Also, don't forget to go to Atlantica."
Oh no.
Thank you, Playoff Fondo, for $20.
Oh dear. Yeah, we won't be doing that, unfortunately. What is happening?
You have time for more donations if there are?
Okay.
So you can see VG just threw a potion there, because while this fight is timed, it can be quite scary if the bolt towers do sort of combo you into a situation where you're just like, uh-oh.
I've gotten quite lucky here, except... Okay.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, I did not get as much experience as I wanted from the fight there, which means that I'll probably be underleveled for the boss fight, which is not the end of the world, but...
No, that's in KH1.
It just means it'll be a bit slower.
Okay, so I have enough EXP for the fight coming up here, thankfully.
You'll probably notice in this boss fight coming up the difference of strength point, 2 strength point matters. However, these runners are so experienced in this game, they sort of know what to do when they sort of get to a point where they have less strength. The fight will be slightly slower, but it'll still be an amazing showcase.
Oh yeah, I didn't mention it before, but we're buying the Fire Bengal to make Haze the next fight. The next sword has a really scary fight. It's called Haze Escape. We want the Fire Bengal to make that fight just a little less scary.
Yeah.
Because you can get 2-shot there, and it's a pretty bad fight.
What matters about the Fire Bangle isn't necessarily the defense points that it gives, but the percentage resistance against fire-based moves. So right here in this fight, we're going to use Mulan's Limit, which takes our entire MP bar, and then gives us access to a combo move with Mulan. Pretty much all that happens with this particular one is we spam triangle. We don't need the other part of the move, and that should generally clear out most of the enemies. See, Ninten just had to only give one more hit there, and then it was clear.
Yeah, just luck-based whether or not they all die there. Unfortunately, it's pretty common that they don't all die, but you can just do one hit to finish it. And now we got Shan Yu, which is kind of a complicated fight. So at the beginning, we want to do a parry on Shan Yu to get into his reaction command, and the reaction command does a ton of damage to him. And it also doesn't deplete any of our form gauge, which is really good. We want to stay in Valor as much as possible here. So we're going to do the attack right here, and then we're going to do a full ground combo. I missed, which is not good.
You can see on VG's screen, he actually just parried Shan Yu as Shan Yu was doing like a slide dash-like move towards him to get another reaction command. Because, like Ninten said, the reaction command does so much damage, especially while in Valor form, because we actually get the strength values of both Keyblades while in that form. So you've seen Ninten just clearing up with one more combo there.
Yeah,
so you want to get him to his next phase. He has 2 phases. And then in the second phase, he does the dash attack, which you want to parry into the next RC. If done correctly, it's a pretty quick fight.
Some bosses in this game will have HP gates where until you do a finisher on them, they won't actually move past that into the next phase. So that's a really good thing about Valor form is like almost every hit in Valor form counts as a finisher. So it was really useful for moving through those phases in the fight.
And now we have arrived at the scariest world of the game.
Oh, definitely. This is Olympus Coliseum again. And it's just... There's so many fights in this world, and all of them are so hard. The very first one, like Ninten was saying before, enemy uses fire-based attacks, but also they have Heartless across 3 different platforms. The goal is to clear out all of the Heartless whilst just not dying to Hades, and there is nothing you can do about Hades except not get hit.
Yeah. He's invincible, he runs around and he throws fireballs. Sometimes he punches you. You You just have to try and avoid him as much as you can.
There.
Yeah, and the only thing is that there's no way to stun him or anything. You just have to deal with him. And if you get really unlucky, he'll just spam fireballs, and you just have to keep dodging them while you're trying to kill the Heartless.
It's interesting to note we have like a lot of slide dash movement here. We put on the ability slide dash before, which we got in Land of Dragons. And if used correctly, like as new enemies spawn and whatnot, you can actually just use it to sort of launch yourself forward, save a few seconds in movement.
Yeah, so I'm just going to try to concentrate a bit here on Haze Escape.
That's it.
Yeah.
Before the fight, we have a short section where you just have to do a lot of hits to him to proceed to the actual fight.
You'll notice here as well, the runners are going to put back on Donald's Cure because sometimes that is just the saving grace in this fight. First on the platform, we try to bait these bats into doing a reaction command just by hitting them once. By moving backwards, they actually grouped all the enemies together, which is really handy. What's scary about this second platform is that there isn't any bats to be able to clear these enemies very easily. As you can see there, VG just had to dodge a fireball. Unfortunately led to him getting hit. Now, what we do also have is a safety limit from Auron, which you can see VG's using here. Unfortunately not the fastest way of clearing out enemies, but 100% the safest. Luckily on this third platform there are bats again. They do tons of damage, and we're able to use them to really control the enemies. You'll see Ninten making use of that on the other screen. One last thing that we have to be careful about here is the large body here. Pretty much all of his attacks will one-shot the player, so we have to really make sure we focus him down first with these back cry RCs.
Alright, that was a really good fight for me. Whew.
That's it.
I think that was actually hitless. I didn't take damage, right?
Alright, fantastic fight from Ninten. A bit rough for VG, but he made it through. A death there generally costs you about, what, 2.5 to 3 minutes?
Yeah, that's a very bad death.
Deaths are very bad in this world. They're very costly. So that's fantastic to see them both get through that.
Yeah, there's basically like 2 or 3 spots in this game where you can die and lose multiple minutes. And those are the worst places to die, especially in a marathon setting like this. So we're going to try our best to play it safe.
For now, though, we're just walking up to another little sort of mini-game section where we just have to hit some pots, clear those out. So it's probably another good time for any plugs or donations. Oh, wait, we have Cerberus. Hang on. I forgot about Cerberus. Sorry, we're dying to Cerberus. We get Mickey. Mickey does a lot of damage. I forgot about Cerberus.
Yeah,
sorry, guys.
Boss, you don't
Sorry,
really.
guys. I always forget him because we die to him, right? We die because we have a guaranteed Mickey Mouse spawn here. And then when Mickey spawns, he has this Pearl ability, which just shreds through Cerberus's health, does a ton of damage, and because Cerberus has so many hitboxes between all the 3 heads, yeah, the damage is just so much.
Yeah, one thing to mention about Mickey is that you might recall getting him on later fights like Zaldin. The way that Mickey works is that the first time you die to a fight where you can get Mickey, you will always get Mickey. And then if you die more times, then the chance of you getting Mickey will go lower and lower. So we're guaranteed to get Mickey right there, thankfully. But in other fights where we can get Mickey, it is not guaranteed. But we don't need him throughout the rest of the run, so...
Yeah, he's mostly fastest on this particular fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully we won't see Mickey again.
No. But now we're running to a mini-game section, so it's a great time for some plugs or donations.
Fantastic. Yes, we have a $19 donation from Ticker that says, Homer, chosen one. I'd also just like to remind everyone that we are AusSpeedruns, a group doing speedrun events to raise money for charity. For this event, we're raising money for Game on Cancer, a charity which funds early career cancer researchers who are working across all areas of cancer research. If you'd like to donate, type !donate in the chat or head to donate.ausspeedruns.com.
Excellent. So this minigame here, it's basically break a few pots, collect some points. We mostly try to air combo here because air combos have way less, I guess, lag time compared to ground combos for now. We'll try and sort of work slide dash into our combos, which is sort of a way to minimize that ground lag. But for now, air combos are the most optimal. So there's a big pot that'll eventually spawn in the second round of this minigame here. And we'll try and knock that one into many small pots, because that'll make each of these medals worth 10 points rather than 1 point. What's really coming into play here is the draw ability, another bonus ability from critical mode, which means any collectibles like health orbs, MP orbs, money, all comes to you from a further distance away. So that makes this little minigame a lot more bearable, I would say.
Yeah, the draw ability comes in handy a lot in critical mode,
Yeah.
in multiple instances. So now we're just gonna run back. You've noticed us going to Vider a few times. It's just for the movement purposes. We're not fighting anything. Just runs a lot faster.
Something you might be wondering why we're not going into Valor form when we're in the Underworld is because one of the reasons this world is as hard as it is because in the Underworld, for most of the first visit, our drive gauge, as you might see in the bottom right, is actually chained up. We're not allowed to use drive forms. So that just makes things harder, and it makes the running through this world a little bit tedious, unfortunately.
We got a power boost there, which is nice. Another strength up, which is good to note.
Yeah, there's actually only, I believe, 2 power boosts in the entire game. There's not many stat boost chests, but luckily there is one right there on our way. It doesn't waste any time to grab, really, and it makes a big difference throughout the run.
Yeah.
So our fight we've got coming up now is our first introduction to Demix. So, you know, Mr. Dance Water Dance himself. So in this little, I guess, mini-game fight, I guess I would call it, you have to defeat 100 clones in, I think they give you a minute and a half. So we really
20.
try to make use of the reaction commands to sort of wipe out lots in an area and also keep them together, because sort of the clones drag themselves to wherever you finish the reaction command. So if you're throwing them like off towards a corner, you know, you probably want to finish the reaction command early. Or you want to make use of fire, because fire will, in an AoE, one-shot all these clones. So
Yeah, another thing to mention is that the water clones actually have an attack if you leave them alone for too long. And that attack just straight up kills you. Even on beginner mode, it can probably kill you. It's a really, really scary attack, but it's only if you leave them alone. So whenever you see them become like a musical note, you want to use the RC.
Alright, fantastic. And like I said, this world's so many bosses, so difficult. We've now got Pete. And Pete is a 2-phase fight. The first fight is just timed. We have a certain number of enemies around. We can't actually defeat Pete. So what we do is we try and use this time to farm as much experience from these enemies as possible, while also not dying, because pretty much every single one of Pete's moves will at most 2-shot you. So
Yeah, and there's actually a manipulation we do on Pete here. After you kill the bats, if you force him to retaliate, hit his revenge at you there, then he will spawn the soldiers immediately after. And there's another one that we're going to try to get here, but this one's much harder to get. We want to make him retaliate again, and then as he's retaliating, we want to kill the soldier here. And then he will whistle in more bats. So I got the bats to spawn super early, and I should be able to grind a lot of XP here. And the CXP matters a lot because in a world coming up, you'll need to spend time to grind to a certain level. And if the more XP we can have before then, the less time we have to spend grinding, and it just saves a lot of time overall. Mega's actually close to dying, okay. I was a little scared.
oh god. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Alright, so in this fight here, we've now been given access back to our drive form, so we're going to really make use of Valor form and the extra strength we get alongside this Bat Cry. So by using the Bat Cry and Valor form, we take out most of Pete's health there, and before he can even retaliate, just finish him off with a quick combo.
Yeah, so Backcry deals a ton of damage, and it's really our saving grace here in Olympus.
Yeah.
You'll see VG there just killed him in basically just 2 back cries.
Yeah, 2 back
Done.
cries is all you really need. Plus like a little combo in between just to keep him stunned.
Alright, so now we have Trinity Limit, which is the first limit that we'll be using, or actually maybe the second if you use Divider and his escape, but we'll be using Trinity Limit on Hydra because it allows us to reach his head. His heads are really high up in the air and we cannot reach them otherwise.
Now we only use 2 parts of the Trinity at first here because we hit an HP gate pretty much every time with just those 2 parts. We also want to make sure that we're using the most efficient parts of the Trinity limit, as the triangle major drive part wouldn't have actually done anything to help us there. Now,
Trinity is a bit of a weird limit. So the first, like the attacks you do initially don't actually do any damage. They just add to the hit counter, and all the damage is done with the last attack. So it may look a little strange, but that is how the game is supposed to work.
Yeah, so we're just building up our combo, and then the ending of Trinity is where all the damage is dealt. But we need to get as many hits as possible. So right here, it's really important that we get a good Trinity, because we need to deal as much damage as possible while we can reach him with this.
controlling his heads here is so hard. His heads are constantly spitting out attacks. There's also like these dark orbs running around which will hit you. There's just so much going on in this fight that control is really the name of the game. So then that Trinity Limit really helps us with dealing damage while keeping control. So right here, Ninten unfortunately didn't kill him before the second Trinity was finished. So right now we just use an Ether, get one more Trinity off, make sure we kill him safely, because once again, this is a fight where dying can cost you multiple minutes.
Yeah, so he has multiple patterns there. I got a really good pattern where it's the easiest to beat him while he's still on the ground, but I kind of mistimed my combos. You don't have that much time. You can't really make many mistakes in that fight if you want to get the early kill.
Yeah.
So I wasted 2 ethers, unfortunately. But the nice thing about this category is that you have a lot of extra ethers with this route. So we should be fine on ethers.
Alright, so now the game's just giving us sort of an introduction to 2 things. One, the Winnie the Pooh world, which we'll pretty much only see here. We don't need to complete the 100-acre wood world to actually complete the game, so we're just going to go through this mandatory visit and be done with it. The second thing this part will give us is our first summon, which will be Chicken Little. So after a quick death abuse here, we'll get Chicken Little, and we'll take him on we should be using him in the next world.
Yep.
Yep.
We use him pretty much straight away.
Yeah, and it's important that we have Hero's Crest and Chicken Little for Beast Castle. So we could have done Beast Castle much earlier, but these 2 options will give us a lot faster fights.
Yeah. Hero's Crest, the Keyblade that we've just put on, has the most strength out of any of the Keyblades you can really get in the early phase. It also increases the damage of air combo finishes, which we use air combos plenty during the first stage.
It's the majority of attacks we use.
Most of
this
attacks
stage
we use
of the
air
game.
combos because they're fast.
So this first fight, it ends after either, I think, 100 hits or you die, and Trinity Limit will give us a bunch of hits, thankfully, so it's a really quick fight. We can just end with Trinity Limit.
Now we do a little shop here as well. We want to get the Sardonyx Ring, which is just a +1 strength item. Why we get that is because in a couple of worlds coming up, we'll be given an extra accessory slot. So while we have that slot, we may as well make use of it. Put an extra strength on. As we know, strength really matters. And this is just the most optimal place to get that. I think not many shops actually have the Sardonyx Ring after this. Is that right?
Yeah.
I think it's only BC, yeah. I'm not entirely sure.
If you forget, you can buy I don't remember its name,
Tourmaline
the Tourmaline Ring
Yeah.
in Timeless River, which has more AP. We don't care about the AP. It costs twice as much, so...
Yeah, it costs twice as much, and that's money we'd rather be saving for items later on in the game.
Yep.
I'm right here, we're just pushing the wardrobe, which is a small mini game. Basically every time it should take 3 cycles. There's a mythical 2 cycle, which I don't think
A
exists.
myth?
Yeah, it's a myth.
No, it's real, definitely.
No. And then sometimes I've actually gone 4 cycle, which is just absurdly unlucky, but yeah.
Alright, so this fight is Thresholder. We slide in quick and stun him, and then we use Chicken Little. Now what Chicken Little affords us in this is a way of crowd controlling the other enemies in the fight. When a number of enemies are a certain distance away from you, he will whistle. As you saw there, what it did was bring all the enemies together and actually stun them.
Nice.
So basically we can hit the boss unignored, because all of these smaller enemies can also quite easily kill you.
Yeah.
See Ninten just finishing off the fight here, releasing the boss from the door, and just killing him with a quick air combo.
Yeah, what was nice is I killed all the bats and the gargoyles there, so I think my EXP is really good right now.
Yeah, your XP is really good.
Yeah, mine should be better now. I killed plenty of bats in OC, and I killed bats here as well, so... I got a bit fortunate there with my thresholder. If Chicken Little whistles him in the first phase and you get on top of him in the second phase as fast as possible, you can actually skip seeing any of his Dark Orb attack and knock him straight out again. Chicken Little needs to pretty much do exactly what you want him to do for that to happen, so it's kind of luck-based, but I was a bit fortunate.
Yeah, while we can manipulate Summon's AI to a certain degree, there are times where they just will do things you don't want.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right here we're just doing an game where we have to escort Miss Potts. She just follows Sora around, so pretty easy. Now's a good time for donations, well, I would say.
This'll do the trick.
Sweet. I think I'll take this moment to quickly shout out our major sponsor for this event, HyperX. We're thrilled to have them on board to support the event this year. Cure Cancer and the Game on Cancer initiative are doing some fantastic work, and it's awesome to have that work supported by HyperX. They believe that everyone can achieve their best with the gaming spirit and are proud to put theirs to work in supporting such a great cause as Game on Cancer. I'm currently wearing a HyperX headset and using a HyperX mic, and they are both fantastic. So yes, get on board with HyperX initiative.
Alright, so we have Beast right here. At the beginning, we're going to use Cogsworth Reaction Command to stun Beast. And after that, one full air combo with Batter Form will beat him.
Oh, you got the parry. I didn't get that.
Yeah, if you're lucky, or if you time the second finisher right there in Batter Form right, you can parry Beast. Another thing to mention that is that you can actually end combos early in Batter Form. You press square during your combo, and we take advantage of that throughout the game.
Now what's really cool here about Beast Castle is we're actually save warping, because going from one end of the castle to the other, there's tons of enemies, and it just takes so long to walk, and we don't want to use our Valor form to even move that way faster. And because of the amazing loads on times on PC, we can just jump out, jump in, quick and done. So this fight is another two-phase fight. The first phase, you want to step back here to manipulate the AI to sort of, I guess, come for you. It'll go up into the chandelier rather than going into the windows. Well, he'll go into the windows later, but this gives us a much easier chance to hit him before that. If he goes into the windows, he becomes very hard to hit, and so what VG did right there, you'll see, kill him before he gets into the window, before he makes it difficult.
Yeah.
Fight done.
Yeah, that's where Valor's ability to end combos early comes in real handy. Just enough damage to kill him before he gets in the window and makes the fight
Fortunately,
hard.
I did miss it, but I should be able to catch him right after.
The second part of the fight, we have an invisible boss here. I say invisible, but I mean, he's just standing there with a big lock-on target on him, so he's a bit erratic in his movements, so what we do is we make use of Beast's Limit here to keep him stunned for a long time, whittle away that health, and try and kill him just here before he does his next big move, which is jump on top of the chandelier, be invincible for a long time, just slowing everything down.
It's really annoying if you let him go. Fortunately, we're able to beat him before he can do too much.
What's interesting to note is that the all the hits in Beast's Limit, you're probably thinking, well, why is he staying stunned for so long? We mentioned revenge value before, but limits don't actually add to the revenge value of the bosses. So that's really nice to keep him stunned there for a long time, work his health down, make the fight quicker without him doing anything.
There are certain attacks in this game that won't add RV at all, revenge value, and we take advantage of that in a lot of fights, like right there, for example. And now moving on to Disney Castle, there's a really cool trick here where you can escort. We're going to escort Minnie Mouse, and if you are really good at moving Sora, you can push Minnie across to where we want to push her, or like to wherever we want to go, instead of using direction commands.
Getting her to follow you is it's a bit tedious at times, and sometimes the enemies can just hit her. So we basically say, well, we'll just do the job for you. We'll see if Fiji can get it here. And we just push her, like just like that, just like all the way to the door, because we're better at that than you.
Well, that was
Nice.
a really good.
That was a really good push.
It's really hard to do that.
Yeah.
It saves so much time because Minnie is constantly starting, stopping, sometimes just sitting there attacking. that saves so much time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a very difficult thing to do. You have to position sword just right. See if I can get it right here.
The main reason we're able to do this push is because we have the wall right next to us. If you try to push her in the big room that VG's in right now, she will just sort of slide off either your left or right side.
Let's go.
Now, Ninten, what's the XP here? Because I know you know it.
526.
526 XP is the magic number that we want to be out of this room to the next level. Reason being, well, same as before. We've got another strength boost coming up, which is going to make a massive difference to the boss of this this next world. So, right here, we take advantage of Minnie's Faith reaction command. Faith will kill these bolt towers in 3 hits. So we want to use it to get some XP, get some money. It also helps with some money for later. And
Let's go.
yeah, just makes sure we're really safe, actually. The Faith reaction command keeps you really safe throughout this room. Because bolt towers, can they two-shot you.
Yeah. They're actually rather scary. The other thing is that if Minnie is close to the bolt towers when she stops moving, she'll actually try and attack them herself if you don't use Faith. So
Exactly.
like, it's just a pain to try and get through that without using Faith. You may as well use it, get some experience, make life easier later.
Now, we use this opportunity to put the Sardonyx ring on as well. We got that accessory slot from successfully escorting Minnie. And so, now, your screen is not does not have any problems. It is meant to be black and white. We're in Timeless River, which is sort of like an homage to old school Disney. We've got to fight Old Pete here, and then complete just a number of just cool little old school Mickey Mouse areas. It's nice with Pete there. What we can do is we use the first couple of hits in Valor form to just keep him stunned while whittling down his health, because a full combo there will actually cause him to start running around the room, be uncontrollable, and just make him a real pain to try and beat.
Yep, and I got level 3 Valor right there, which is actually going to help me out a bit later on in this world.
That's really good. You can see VG here making use of Chicken Little, trying to, I guess, rein in these enemies. It's nice the map here will actually help you with this reaction command here. It does so much damage because of our reaction boost and just our strength in general. But for the next couple of windows, you're going to really see VG and Ninten making use of Chicken Little's crowd control ability. These hammers can most certainly two-shot you. I think 1 or 2 attacks may even one-shot you.
Yeah, it's actually really easy to die in these windows. Timeless River in general is a really hard world to go fast in, because you have to deal with so many mob fights with a lot of Heartless, and Chicken Little can be very mean to you sometimes.
Please, thank you.
Yeah, like you can see there, Chicken Little just wasn't whistling for VG, but luckily it got under control. He did what we wanted eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, Chicken Little's AI works in mysterious ways.
If you have even one enemy sitting right next to you, he just won't whistle.
Yeah.
They all need to be away.
One nice thing to mention though about Chicken Little is that if you every auto damage you do will give you back HP while Chicken Little is out. So he actually has like a drain ability on him, which helps a lot.
This enemy is probably the scariest one in this world, I would say. These cars, they do a ton of damage, and if you don't control them with Chicken Little after you hit a certain HP gate, they will just start zooming around the map. They're so hard to actually stagger out of them. You need Chicken Little to throw a baseball at them if they do. Luckily, though, VG was able to clear them all very easily there.
There's that strength up that we want for the boss fight coming up. I got it a bit early because I was fortunate with Bolt Tower RNG in mini escorts.
You got a lot of bolt towers.
Oh yeah, quite a lot of Bolt Towers. The way they move is a bit, it is lucky handed, so.
Alright, so the last window, you just want to get rid of 2 waves of Heartless, and then you're going to use Trading Limit, but you actually want to get the least amount of hits as possible, because the finisher Trading Limit will always kill the final wave, and the hits will just take extra time to show off the trading.
Yeah, the finisher always has like a base damage, right? And then all the extra hits just go first before hitting that just like base damage value. And that base value will always one-shot all of the small enemies in that room.
Later, losers.
Alright, so this is boat fight. We are pretty much with this fight, we have to just use some reaction commands to knock Pete out. Then we're going to try and blow up the box that he's on to try and release the, I forget what that orb is called.
Cornerstone of Light.
The Cornerstone of Light, there you go. Now, you might think here, you'll see Sora only using one Keyblade, but it's still very important that we're in Valor form for this section, because while he's only using one Keyblade, we still retain the strength value of both Keyblades. So that makes that fight go way faster, saves a ton of combos.
Yeah.
Yeah, so whenever the reaction command shows up is luck-based, so if you're really unlucky, you can take a few extra cycles, but hopefully we are lucky.
Majority of the time, you should be able to kill him in just 2 goes.
Yeah.
Which I got.
Unless I got a limit right there called Fantasia, which is Comet for Donald, which we'll be using a ton throughout the rest of the run.
Alright, so this Pete fight has multiple phases, pretty much just running through all the different areas that we just went through in the windows. We have different strats for getting through each one. In this particular one, we've used Trinity because we rack up hits off the little fires that are around. In other ones, we pretty much want to control him with sort of more slower ground combos, but they keep Pete on the ground, keep him controllable, and we're able to hit HP gates while he's winding up his retaliation there. This area you want to be very careful of because these towers can just start bouncing Pete around. Makes it very hard to control, and I believe actually adds to his revenge value a bit.
Yeah.
It does. It adds a lot. So you really don't want him to get touch of those towers.
It's also worth mentioning that this fight is really easy to die to. I think you get 2-shot by pretty much everything.
Yeah.
It is nice, though, that they sort of, for the last window there, they just said, just use the reaction command.
Yeah.
Just finish him off. You've done enough.
And we got Reflect, which is actually the best spell in the entire game, pretty much.
We'll see lots of Reflect uses.
You got an achievement.
I did. I've been unlocking achievements the whole run.
I didn't get any achievements.
No achievements for you.
You've already achieved them.
Oh, thanks. Oh, there's a landscape, by the way, which we will not be doing.
Yes, that world over there. We don't like that one. Alright, so Port Royal. Port Royal has a bit of a gimmick where the pirates, they are only damageable in the moonlight. Sort of an homage to the actual film. The cool thing about these pirates, though, is that they're really susceptible to magic. So we're definitely going to be putting to use, particularly our Blizzard spell, which will stun them. As you can see on Ninten's screen, they are just sitting there frozen. Thunder will also stun them in a way, but the thing is they start wandering around. So we sort of just want to keep them in the one spot so we can just keep hitting them and control them better. Fire will actually send them just running around wildly, which we definitely don't want that.
Yeah.
So we'll be avoiding fire on them at all costs.
Yeah, and we're using Chicken Little a lot more as well in this world. We're using him like pretty much every fight. He's really good for controlling the pirates because he'll suck them into the not moonlight where they're vulnerable.
Yeah, there's certain fights in this where there'll be areas of moonlight, there'll be areas of non-moonlight, and if you just start letting the pirates move around without controlling them with Chicken Little, they will just wander back into the darkness. You won't be able to hit them, and it just becomes a slog. So, a couple more Chicken Little fights here. Some of these fights are optional when you're moving from ship to ship area. However, right now, while these fights are quick and easy, we just take it for the experience.
Yeah, but thankfully we neither of us crash. There's going to be a few instances of the map right there. That is where it's common for some PCs to crash, but I think that will be okay.
Luckily, that one is rare.
Yeah. This is another timed fight right here, so basically just we want to beat as many pirates as we can, just like before, get experience while we can, and also not die.
These pirates are also really good for giving you a lot of money. They give a lot of money. But yeah, once again, timed fight, so if we've got any donations or plugs, probably a good time for those.
Yeah, sweet. We've got a couple donations. So we've got $2 from Bakuman84 who says, this is for Drake Percent and Bonus Run. Hey everyone, as I'm here to support this wonderful event, good luck to all the runners, especially Liam. Lots of luck on your run. I hope the event achieves the goal of defeating cancer. Thank you. And we've also got $50 from Unusual who says, push that mouse.
Oh, fantastic. What we'll also try to do in this fight is, or at least I try to do, he uses a lot of the summon gauge, and that's how you level up summons in this game. So every time that number ticks between 1 or 2, you're actually getting points towards using your summon, and that'll level it up. We want to make sure that we probably get level 2 here, because sometimes Chicken Little can run out in the next fight if we're not careful. So that'll also be the reason you saw VG at the end there use Chicken Little's limit, which will completely run out the gauge, but also just gives us all those points even though we didn't need it.
Yeah, it's really important to have level 2 summon here. We also kind of want to hit level 3 summon by the end of the game.
Yeah.
But
we have quite a bit of time for that.
Yeah.
Alright, boat fight. This boat fight is scary. There's a few different patterns that the pirates can give you. There's also bombs going off in the middle. The Black Pearl is shooting down cannons at you, which can just knock the pirates up in the air, set them on fire for like they're running around. You can probably see that from this guy. He'll probably start running around. Really just makes it really difficult to control this fight, particularly when a lot of these axe pirates deal like 3/4 to your full HP bar with just one attack. So we really want to make sure we're mostly using Blizzard, using Chicken Little to just keep them under control.
Okay, I'm very close to dying right there, but we're okay. This fight is very difficult to do, and it's very scary because not only is it easy to die, but also when the pirates go into the shadows, there's really not much you can do about it.
Nice.
Yeah, the shadows, the explosions that hurt not only you, but also knock the pirates in weird ways. It's just a very annoying fight to do well, but...
And the number of times those cannonballs have made me dismiss Chicken Little.
Oh, yeah. They do a lot of damage to that guy.
Yeah, I don't know if we mentioned it, but the summons basically have like a health bar, and whenever they take damage, they just lose Rive Gauge.
Alright, a little scary from VG there. Takes 1 hit, because you can only take 2 hits in that fight, but luckily the Air Pirates decided to just sit there and do nothing.
Yeah. I think that's the optimal way of doing it, taking that hit there from the cannonball, and you just have to sort of
Aero
pay
recovery
attention.
over
you
to
have
the
to,
other one.
You have to pay attention to what the Air Pirates are doing, because they can just hit you, and if they do, after you take that 1 hit, you are dead. It's not the worst death, it's a pretty quick one, but obviously you prefer not to have it happen.
Obviously deaths are not ideal.
Yeah.
Death's bad in all circumstances. Some are worse than others.
Alright, Barbosa. Barbosa now, he pretty much shares the same gimmick as the other pirates in the run. We have to defeat this Heartless here because that's making the entire battlefield dark. But right here we're going to make sure that we hit Barbosa to his revenge value. We're going to revert so that we can use Reflect, which will stun him, and then use Blizzard. Much like the other pirates, he will not move much. And Blizzard actually reduces his revenge value, which is nice, which means we can just loop him by just doing combos, Blizzarding him when he's vulnerable, pushing him out of the darkness.
Okay, that was a bit scary. Everything's fine.
Nice, good fight. And we'll see Ninten doing the same over on the other screen.
One thing to keep in mind is that if Jack dies, you actually lose the entire fight, which has happened to me a few times before. So you gotta watch out for Jack's HP as well here.
That's what always scares me about the Valor form opening, is because sometimes Jack just decides to stand next to you and get whacked.
Yeah. Yeah, ideally he gets like no attacks off the whole fight, but if he starts attacking, it gets very, very scary. Because he just hits you up in the air, and Jack is not a very intelligent party member, we'll put it that way.
Alright, so another quick death abuse here at the start of Agrabah. That fight is just way too long. It's not worth the experience. You just want to get it done with. We also buy ethers here just because it's the most optimal. It's the closest we spawn to a shop for a very long time.
Yeah.
So we'll just pick up a bunch of ethers as we've started to get more and more magic, more and more limits, and we definitely want to be making use of those. Because a cool mechanic in this game is that an ether before you run out of your MP gauge will fully recover your MP gauge, whereas if you run out and get it into the red MP recharge, you'll actually only recover half of your maximum MP with an ether.
Yeah, so most of the time we want to be using ethers before we run out of our magic.
Seeing Wisdom form for the first time here, which we did actually get back at the end of Timeless River, but it doesn't help that much in Port Royal. We don't use it there. We're using it here because it has a very useful ability called Quick Run, which, you know, this is a speed run. We want to go fast, and Quick Run lets us do this little horizontal dash across the ground. Yeah.
I mean, he's not really running, but...
Yeah, it's called Quick Run. It's kind of a lie, but, you know, it's still fast, so we use it.
Absolutely. This world is also the most optimal place to grind levels for Wisdom form, because once we get enough levels in a form, we actually take that ability to base Sora. So we really want that quick run ability on base Sora so that we don't have to always be in a form to be getting optimal movement, because that's just it's just not possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I got high jump because of Fire level 3, which you don't need to equip, but VG and I equip it just because it's a nice body of life thing to have.
Yeah. Can help out like with a couple of recovery strats. In particular Prison Keeper, which we'll see next world we go to. If things go wrong, it can be nice to just be able to jump that a little bit higher.
So getting a few quick kills in Wisdom form here because, as Ninten mentioned earlier, Wisdom form levels up off Heartless kills. And then we're just trying to clear these platforms in time. As you can see, there's a timer in the top left. However, I think that's pretty lenient, that timer.
Yeah, they give us a lot of time. A good fight, the timer on the top left will be at a minute. That's a really good fight. Probably won't happen here. It depends on the luck you get on these Fat Bandits as well. The Fat Bandits are actually pretty scary because you can get caught in the Fire Breath, and they can also punch you, and I think the punch one-shots you.
The punch does one-shot you,
yeah. And
the Fire Breath will just combo you until you're gone.
Wait, we have the Fire Bangle. No, it doesn't. That's a lie.
I actually forgot to equip the Fire Bangle.
Oh, okay. Well, you will die then.
Yeah.
I will not die.
Alright, here's a cool little trick. We'll see if Ninten gets it, but there's a cool little trick with your magic that when you use Reflect, and then if your character moves, the Reflect explosion will actually be carried to where your character ends up. So you'll see Ninten uses Trinity Limit here, moving his character in front of the enemy, and then the Reflect explosion still goes off, killing the enemy there. Really neat little trick.
Yeah, so what we're going to be doing here in this next fight is leveling Wisdom level 3. And we're going to be using Wisdom to get enough kills to get to level 2. And then we're going to revert and then get our drive back with Reflect and Fire. And then go into another Wisdom form and then get the rest of the kills to get to level 3 that way.
That's a cool strat. This one's new to me.
Yeah, it just speeds up. In the past, we used to kill extra Heartless earlier on in the world, but we can just get them here.
And what we want to make sure we do here is we want to use Trinity Limit, so we need to do a quick switch from Aladdin out to Goofy as the Reflect is exploding, and then use Trinity Limit, because any hits from any other sources while the Trinity Limit is active actually counts towards the end hit goal. So nice little boost there. We get the Reflect damage, plus extra damage on our Trinity. Makes for fast work for those last 3 Fat Bandits.
And now we can quick run with base Sora, which we will be doing a lot.
This is our most optimal form of movement for the rest of the game.
So we're using Comet here, I believe, for the first time. Comet is an incredibly good limit from Donald, and what it does is it allows us to be invincible while it's happening, and still do combos on the boss. And the fireworks will destroy all of the small mini bosses that come out of these guys, so we want to take advantage of that. We want Donald to die right here, so that we can go Battle Form. So we haven't explained Anti-Form yet, but if you remember playing this game casually, you might have gotten Anti-Form at some point. The way Anti-Form works is that every time you use a Drive Form, it gives you 1 anti-points. And once you get to 5 anti-points, you have a chance of getting Anti-Form. but if we have a dead party member, it will not add anti-points. So we route out our anti-points in a certain way that we never have a shot of anti-form until the very ending when we'll be doing it on purpose. But that's why it's important that we actually have Donald die here.
Yeah, there are a few different situations where it is just not possible to go into anti-form. The main one is while you have a dead party member.
Yeah,
the other one is when you're out of combat, you can only go anti-form in combat. If you have an additional party member, such as like when we had Hercules in Olympus, you cannot go anti-form. And I guess the most notable one for the end of the game is when you're only Sora. When you're only Sora, anti-form is just not possible.
Right, and another thing to mention is that every time we get a new drive form, it resets our anti-points to 0, I guess to give us a chance to try out the new form. So that is what we use to make sure we don't get anti.
I'm sure casually you'd be very confused if you just got a new form. You're just like, what's this form like? And then it just you get anti-form and just like, wait, what is this? This is rubbish. You never use it again.
Shout out to the devs for letting you have a little bit of fun before you get punished.
Yeah. Gonna have another quick defuse right here. These guys kill you really quickly. It's a really fast segment here.
Alright. I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. Halloween Town's got to be my favorite world in all of Kingdom Hearts. I just love the movie. But it's really cool in this game. They actually let us explore Christmas Town. The unfortunate thing is, with Christmas Town and Halloween Town come these jack-in-the-boxes. Very scary enemies with, see, that just did 3/4 of VG's health. So they do a lot of damage like that. And they also have, like, these combo moves that will actually just kill you without you being able to escape if you get caught in them. The nice thing, though, about VG and Ninten getting hit here is they currently have the EXP boost ability equipped, which means they get double EXP if they get kills while under half health. So right there, they were able to get a ton more XP, hit a strength increase with level 18, which will be very useful for coming up to the boss.
Yeah. So there are a few fights from now on where we will attempt to take a hit on purpose, like what happened right there, just so that we can get that experience boost. Which of course doesn't make it more dangerous, but
generally there's strats to sort of work through it safely, like the dance core limit that was used just there at the end of Candy Cane Lane.
Yeah, you're invincible during all limits, so no need to worry.
Now this boss is super interesting. This boss has a number of phases, right? VG unfortunately got the worst one to start with, which is Shock? Yes. So Shock, the boss will fly up into the air and just start shooting electricity balls down. Now, if we didn't have that high jump ability, it would be very difficult to actually catch the boss out of that. But what we're going to try and do in this fight is actually skip a phase. If we do this correctly, we can bypass an HP gate and not have to deal with one of the 3 phases of the individual kids. Looks like VG's just hit it there. So now he doesn't have to deal with the lock phase. He just has to now finish him off in the 3-in-1 phase. Ninten working on getting the phase skip here. He got it. Very good.
Now this last part is actually really scary because the strat that we do is we do an air combo and battle form, and then we're going to revert our form. Hang on a second. So right here we're going to revert our form, do an air combo. He's supposed to retaliate right there. Okay. Reflect this retaliation and then do a Trinity limit, and then do an air combo into another Trinity break, and then one more air combo should kill him right here. But if we get caught by his retaliation, then we'll just get one shot and die.
Yeah.
That's always scared me since the remixes have come out, because there's also that fun glitch where you sometimes get flung across the screen, which is always not nice.
Ah, yes, the 60 FPS.
But now, as in all the other games, Oogie Boogie is just a gimmick fight. There are a few ways we can speed this up, which I'll go through as we get to them. But for the most part, we've just got to work through these phases. We knock Presence up to break his platform, and then just hit him when he falls down. The scariest part of this fight, well, I guess the 2 scariest parts is, first of all, that fist is a one-shot at any time. Doesn't matter. One shot. The second scariest part is once we hit the second phase of this fight, he spawns enemies. One of them being the Emerald Blue, which is just combos you to death, one-shots you. It does all the things to kill you.
Ideally, we don't see it. If we're lucky, we see 2 White Knights, and life is good.
Yes.
Something else I was doing at the beginning of the fight was using Thunders on Oogie there, which looks a bit strange. It doesn't actually do any damage, but the idea there is that we need to get enough drive to use Chicken Little, and using those Thunders does actually restore the drive gauge a little bit. 2 White Knights, hooray.
2 White Knights, fantastic.
Nice.
Now,
I already have Summon 3, apparently.
What we're going to hope to see here is hopefully these White Knights, yep, it got sucked in, that's perfect. If the White Knight doesn't get killed here before Oogie moves platforms, he actually won't spawn further enemies on this platform. So what we're hoping is right now, don't kill the White Knight.
Oh no, I got double Emerald Blue. This is so unlucky.
That's right, away you go.
Oh gosh.
Perfect. So we didn't get presence there because that White Knight lived, and we're able to skip the second round of presence there, making the fight safer and just quicker.
Where is he? There he is. Okay. Thundering in here actually makes it so that he doesn't despawn. If you ignore him for long enough, he'll just go away. We want him to stay alive because it means we get this little movement a little bit faster. And then he'll die to the back, and then life is good. Now we have to deal with lightning.
Now this lightning, if you get caught in it in the wrong spot, it will just take you all the way to the back, continually hitting you until you die. There is not much to do to stop it. Basically, use a limit or just cop the death.
Yep.
Very scary, this lightning. But obviously, when you can see it coming, you know which direction it's going to go. Watch it.
This could be a bit interesting. He might summon more enemies here. He did, in fact, summon more enemies, which should be fine. Yeah.
That should be fine, though.
No, you just try
See Ninten also dealing with the lightning.
That's right, away you go.
Yeah, I got a very unlucky pattern with 2 Emerald Blues. You actually can't get prison skip with that pattern. And it's very uncommon that happens, but thankfully I didn't die, which is the important thing.
Yeah, a death in this fight is minimum like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad if you die the last phase, Oogie. But we got through it.
Nice. And that completes roughly the first visits for all the worlds there now.
It does, yes.
Yep.
There's another world to the bottom left here called Pride Lands, which, for whatever reason, we can just complete the game without ever going there, so we're not going to bother, because we would like to go fast.
Honestly, a blessing. Lion Soarer is not the easiest thing to use, and the enemies there are just so painful to deal with.
Yeah.
Alright, but now we're going to get introduced to more nobodies. We've sort of gone through the heartless portion of the run. Now we're getting into more the nobody portion of the run. So right here, this is the Berserker fight. So Berserkers are really scary because they have a ton of health, they do a ton of damage, and they're really great at just not being controllable if you let them. So some EXP boosting to start with here, making great use of Reflect and Genie to just sort of get a ton of damage on these guys, control them without knocking them away too much. That was beautiful. I'll let this part speak for itself.
Maybe? Oh, not the fast kill, but that's not too bad. Lose a few seconds if they don't all die to that magnet, but...
Alright, before I explain what just happened, we'll see if Ninten gets it, because it's great to just look at. Alright, Berserker doing its thing.
Oh gosh. This is not how it's supposed to go.
Okay.
Oh god, this is actually really bad.
So it's all...
Gorge, I didn't mean that.
So now to just try not to die here, which is easier said than done.
You're right, Chipper.
Okay. I'm probably gonna die here. Somehow I did not yet.
Let's go.
All right, there you go.
There we go.
Nice. Good recovery. Good recovery.
Those enemies are really scary.
Yeah, once they go tiny and start just hammering down like that, it's just really hard to actually do anything about it. But what was really cool about that fight is we got Magnet, and there's a cool interaction between Magnet and Trinity Limit, where if you Magnet an enemy and then use one of the Trinity Limit pieces on them, it will bounce them in and out of the magnet. And every time an enemy sucks into the magnet, it gets dealt a small amount of damage. And by continually just knocking them in, out, in, out, in, out, what Trinity Limit does, it deals them a ton of damage super quickly, and they just pop.
Yeah.
In addition to adding more pieces to our Trinity Limit, which is great.
Combo. Yeah. Yeah, Magnet in general is one of the better spells that we'll get access to just for crowd control.
And now that we have Magnet, you'll probably be seeing a bit less of Chicken Little. We'll still use him for bits and pieces in combo with Magnet because it's just so quick. But yeah, Magnet now becomes our main piece of crowd control.
The other nice thing about Magnet is that it counts as a finisher in terms of combos, and what's nice about that is that if we use it first, we can skip straight to using finishes, and thanks to our helpful critical finishing plus ability, we can go straight into another finisher after the Magnet, which is just a nice way of doing lots of damage very quickly, without having to worry about doing like slide dashes or regular hits on the ground.
And what you'll be seeing a lot is Magnet into what's called Finishing Leap, which I don't think we explained, but it's where the Sora just sort of puts his Keyblade into the ground and does a little explosion just there.
Yeah.
You'll be seeing that a lot. So right now we're just moving through a couple of little mini games here. Good time for a quick donation if we have any, or a plug.
Yes, just as you've called me over, we've actually got a $300 donation from Anonymous. And they say spy cosplay.
Absolutely. Let's hit one of those donation challenges.
Which means we are actually just $40 left before we can see the Spy vs. Spy cosplay on stream. So $40 more, people. Fantastic.
Awesome. All right. Excellent. So we're getting another summon here. VG's just picking up Stitch. Now, Stitch is a really great summon, probably my favorite, because what he does is he doesn't do necessarily much in terms of damage, but he sits around on the screen healing your MP. So you can just keep casting spells, just Magnet, Finishing Leap, or Spam Reflex. He also will like heal you if you need it. But before we get to that, we got Light Cycle.
Yeah.
So Light Cycle has two different parts. The first part there is actually RNG, how the enemies spawn. So you have to really be able to adapt, because any health that you take from the first section carries to the second section. And all of these enemies two-shot you. So you don't really want to be coming into the second section with one hit left.
Yeah.
Now, a cool piece of tech that we're going to be seeing here is, see, we're not killing these shield guys, because when we go to a turn, we can actually bounce off these green guys and speed up the turn significantly. Also, it just looks really cool.
It does, yeah. The swag movement.
So I think we've got like a total of like 4 or 5 of these little speed boosts that we're going to try and get. There's a couple of that are really easy, but also some are really hard.
Some of them are, well, some of them are just RNG, because eventually we'll see white guys here who will give us a random attack, which can be the shield. So for example, here are some guys that we're going to try and get shields from. And we did not, so it's just a bit of RNG, but it's still relatively safe. Here's another green guy that I messed up on. Oops.
I guess the nice thing to note is that, at least with this section of Light Cycle, the enemy spawns are consistent, unlike the first section, which is really scary.
Yeah.
So with a bit of practice, you know, these runners, they know exactly what they've got to do. They know exactly what's coming for them.
Now we're coming up on the one grind section of the game.
Indeed.
Yeah, so right now we've got to do this little mini game where we have to switch off a couple of screens, like in a time limit. But the time limit is absurdly large, and enemies just keep spawning throughout that time. So what we're going to do is abuse Stitch's like MP refilling and these constant enemy spawns plus EXP boost to just get insane levels. Because they'll give us strength boosts, safety abilities, now since we're running on shield route. And yeah, just speeds things up in general. It's way faster to grind here than to just deal with being low level later on.
Right, we spend about like a minute grinding there, and we make up that time a lot for the rest of the game.
Unfortunately, Stitch sometimes just doesn't give you MP. It is random when he'll do it, so sometimes we do just need to throw an ether. I think we have an allowance of maybe 2 ethers here to work with, which generally should get us through the grind pretty reasonably. Although the more Stitch can just give us, you know, the quicker it'll go.
There's another one. He's not. Oh, and yeah, that's what he does. He waits till you throw the ether, and then he will give you.
What a troll!
We're trying to get to level 23.
1500 to 24, is that right? No,
Just 23.
It's just hit 23.
just hit 23.
Okay, there we go. Fine.
It's a lot more risky than when I used to do it.
The main thing is that we want to get the ability once more for a fight coming up later, and this will allow us to get that guaranteed.
There it is. Not the greatest grind ever because Stitch forced me to use 2 ethers and I ran out of MP anyway, but...
yeah, I think ideally you want to see 50 seconds left on the timer, is that right?
Yeah, with this route you can get like a 53 with the best kind of RNG.
So you can see Ninten's on the grind here on the other screen. As VG moves to the boss of this world, which is... what's his name again?
Hostile Program.
Hostile Program, that's right. So, Hostile Program has an interesting mechanic, goes along with the gimmick of this world, where you collect like little data pieces and you can freeze him. Now, the combos we do are very specific in order to break HP gates at certain times, which gives us loads of orbs, to then freeze him, which we'll use to push him through the next phase to break the next bit of armor, and so forth.
Alright, Stitch was pretty mean to me right there, but still wasn't too bad.
Really want Goofy to see a tornado here. Thank you, Goofy.
Right, so there's a mechanic in this game that, well, it's not really a mechanic, it's kind of a bug. It's a little hard to explain, but basically when we do attacks that have more than 1 hit, if our party members will attack during that attack, like Aerial Spiral for example, every single hit of Aerial Spiral will do the maximum amount of damage possible, whereas normally every hit after the first hit will do less damage. So we're taking advantage of that with Goofy Tornado on Hostile Program.
So a little bit of under damage there, because unfortunately Donald died.
Yeah.
But thankfully we didn't die, so that's the main thing.
Unfortunately didn't die.
Because a lot of his hits will one-shot you.
Yeah, unfortunately I switched Donald in there at the last phase, and he immediately got hits, and Donald does not have a lot of health HP, so died.
And remember, not only is this critical mode, but like the only piece of armor that's been picked up throughout this run was the fire bangle. So these guys are running basically armorless and have very little defense. So everything's either a 1 or 2 shot on critical mode. So now as we come out of Space Paranoids, thankfully we don't have to see that world again, because the second visit isn't that nice. We have Hollow Bastion. Now, a lot's going on in Hollow Bastion. The Heartless are taking over. The Nobodies and Heartless are fighting each other or something or other. There's some plot going on. And so, as a result of plot, we have a bunch of difficult fights. These guys, for starters, the Dancers. Now, these guys have a grab attack that if you get caught in it, they'll just swing you around and you know you're dead, because that will always one-shot you here. So what we're going to do to make quick work of them is use a combination of Magnet and Stitch to just absolutely make sure that we don't get hit. But also, it's really fast because Chicken Little's firecrackers, in tandem with the Magnet, are doing that bouncing in and out effect, getting loads of damage finishing off with that Magnet Trinity that I mentioned before. Crazy fast stuff.
Yeah. Other nice thing about Magnet Trinity is we get huge amounts of drive gauge back. So even
Oh,
though I used
exactly.
all 3 for Chicken Little and then dismissed him, I'm straight back to 5 drive gauge because of all that, all the hits you get with the magnet.
Because while the limits ability hits don't count towards getting your drive back, the magnets do.
Yeah.
Now there's a funny interaction here with Trinity and Demix here, but while you're attacking these clones with Trinity, you actually rack up a ton of hits. So you're going to see this Trinity absolutely melt Demix.
Yeah.
That's 3
There
bars
it
of
goes.
damage right there, which is crazy. Perfectly sets us up for finishing the fight, straight away sending him into the second phase, which we barely see any of. And what Vgmaster's going to do here is he's going to send him straight into his revenge attack and activate Comet to just finishing him off perfectly safely. And there it is. Great Demix fight.
That was a good fight.
Yeah, the Trinity did a lot of damage. It's
That
kind of
was a
random
big
how much
Trinity.
you get, but I got quite a nice one there.
Now, this is a really scary portion of the game. This is the longest death you can possibly have in this next section. Now, if you die to this next fight, which is going to be a bunch of waves of Heartless with the Final Fantasy characters, you have to redo the entirety of Demix.
Yes, fighting Demix again, plus dying to like potentially the last of this gauntlet, just means minutes upon minutes of time loss. So these guys are going to have to be careful to make sure they get through here safely, but also fast. So plenty of strategies here, particularly we're making use of Limit Form. Now I don't think we've seen Limit Form before Demix, but it's a bit of an homage to Kingdom Hearts 1 that the final mix game added. It's an extra drive form with a bunch of abilities, Sonic Blade, Ars Arcanum, and more. What we're doing here is because in these limits where we have a lot of iframes, we're not entirely safe, but we have a lot of iframes, but also it just does a ton of damage, great for crowd control, and we get to level up the form all in one. The scariest enemy in this area is probably the Morning Stars, the big blue balls. So what we have to do is make sure we can bait the Knights there into using the Rising Sun reaction command, because that's our main source of damage. Oh, scary stuff.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Thank you, Tifa. Tifa did well.
When Tifa wants to cooperate, though, she can just clear waves
Yep.
on her own. Alright, so one more wave here. Nice little drive explosion.
That was just to get the MP back. Because MP allows us to do lots of things, such as, for example, thundering these surveillance robots and get really big laser beams.
The Sparkle Ray reaction command, also a really crazy powerful command with the reaction boosts, which we now have 2 of. Bit of Magnet Trinity, just for safety. Get also some drive back.
Okay, fine.
And now we just let Cloud do the rest.
Yeah, pretty much.
Very good.
Alright, through the scariest segment of the game, that's good.
Alright. So, one final fight in this world now. The 1000 Heartless, which, you know, that's in everyone's memory. Everyone remembers this fight. And we're really going to try in this fight to focus on using the Sparkle Ray ability. The Rising Sun, while great at killing some enemies, is nowhere near compared to the Sparkle Ray. Also just sends us off in some random direction when we really want to stay focused on the middle here to get the maximum number of enemy spawns. Because the interesting thing about this game, being originally a PS2 game, there's only so much you can have on the screen. And I believe it's a max of like somewhere between 20 and 30 enemies on the screen at any one time. Alright, Ninten on the Cloud fight. Let's see how we'll get this. Got that once more ability.
Oh.
Good Sparkle Rays.
Defense. Okay, this is it. Yeah, back off. Yeah.
Alright, I'm just going to play it safe with the Trinity here. Can't take damage during this limit. And we made it past.
Nice, very good Ninten.
So that was definitely the scariest part of the run right there. Thankfully we got past it.
Defense.
VG kind of getting messed up here. The sentry bots have 2 different attacks.
Oh no.
A bit of safety. Using
Now
the
we
potion
are
while
in
still
a
in the
bit of
iframes of the limit.
Okay.
Take this.
A few things we can do if you get frame trapped here, but eventually you run out of MP. Oh, I'm in a lot of trouble now.
That once more ability really coming in
can't-
handy.
yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, so if you get really unlucky, this fight just becomes absurdly hard. You have to keep track of so many Heartless. If you get lucky, it's actually really easy and it's a breeze and really fast, but just a very luck-based fight, unfortunately.
What unfortunately happened to VG there is the sentry bots have 2 patterns. They can either just give you the reaction command straight away, or they do this big wind-up attack. And if you hit triangle at the wrong time during that wind-up attack, Sora will actually whiff. And so
Yeah.
while VG was going for one of the good reaction commands, unfortunately the game thought he was going for the bad one, and he whiffed and he got trapped there.
Yeah, the RC just decided to change targets to one that was doing the dumb attack, which not a whole lot you can do about that aside from being like really careful about your positioning.
Thankfully, I've gotten really lucky here. And this should be the last RC. One more.
Ninten off to a great 1K fight.
And there we go.
Nice.
So I'm not sure if you guys mentioned, but you can use Thunder to bait out the RC as well, which we try to do if we can.
Yes, that really helps when they're using a long wind-up, or if they're just not doing anything at all, and you're just like, well, hey, we're trying to go fast.
Yeah.
Okay. These guys are not letting me have a good time.
Take this. Take this. This is it.
We can see being by the wall here also just really doesn't help for enemy spawns.
Back off.
Alright, we should be good now.
Nice.
Alright, both players are past it. Let's go.
Yeah, so it's actually a miracle that we were deathless up to that point, because every fight is really scary in this game.
Every single fight.
Yeah.
And this is basically the, I guess, the halfway point of the game. Sort of like, if you're ever running this game, this feels like the halfway point.
Yeah.
Although we'll see these second visits to the rest of the worlds go really quick.
Riku, just this feeling.
So you'll notice here,
What if the Heartless...
Ninten has stopped in at Beast Castle. I say stopped in because he's not actually going to complete it at this time. We're here to pick up the Keyblade of this world, which we actually get before completing the world. And it has an ability called Finishing Plus. Now, we've already gotten one of those because we're on crit. So now we have 3 finishes. And that's really good for our damage output on other bosses. So we're not going to do this boss just yet. We're going to get the Keyblade run, and we'll come back later when our strength is a bit higher.
Right, and you'll see me going back and forth between these rooms. The reason I'm doing that is because this room can spawn a Pokebender, which is a Heartless that gives you a bunch of EXP. And if you walk between those rooms like that, it will spawn Pokebenders guaranteed in every other world that can have Pokebenders. So we'll be using them to get more EXP and reach a certain level.
Let's go. Yeah. Yeah.
Before the PC version of this game, this was always the most fun area of the game as well, these second visits, in my opinion, because they didn't have gummies.
Yeah.
So now it's so great to see that the first half is just as fast as the second. And I would argue more fun, way more fun.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fights in general in the second half are a lot more consistent. I might get hit here. Oh, no.
Dodged it.
So right here, we're back in Port Royal, and the pirates are the same as before. They're weak to magic, so you'll be seeing us use a ton of magic in this world, just like we did before.
We'll be skipping a few more of those optional fights this time, as like the enemies are more spread out, they take longer to kill. So we'll just be skipping them by going inside the ship, come outside the ship, and move on. But this boss here, Grim Reaper, he's a fun guy because he likes to work unlike any other boss. The main theme of this boss is, rather than revenge value as much, he mostly reacts off a hit counter. So pretty much, I believe it's like 10 hits, and he will do a teleport away to some other random area on the ship. But that hit counter doesn't actually increase when we use Blizzard, or if we keep him stunned, he won't have a chance. So what we're going to do here is using Master Form, which is the coolest looking form ever. We just do a ton of damage without letting him actually get out. Managing Blizzards in between combos to keep him from jumping away, and then using Comet
That's
to
a really good fight.
He cannot move. He's stunned for a long time.
Yeah, keeping him stunned in the Comet is actually extremely difficult to do. If he's outside, if he's not being staggered for like a frame, then he'll just teleport away. So you want to make sure he's being staggered like the entire time.
Freeze! Freeze! Let's go!
So right now we got Horizontal Slash from that fight, and Horizontal Slash is actually one of the best abilities in the game, IMO. We'll be using a lot. It's a modifier for your air combos. So whenever you see Sora kind of go left and right in the air, that is Horizontal Slash, and it does a ton of damage, and it can keep bosses nuked as well. Should be seeing more of later on.
Oh, so close.
60 FPS.
So pretty much what happened there. It's a bit of a 60 FPS glitch that happens when they sort of ported this game and upscaled it, is sometimes your air combos will just, for some reason, push you away because the game doesn't think you should be there. You just get launched. But luckily it was only on 1 HP, so we were able to just get that one last bit of comment in.
I'm not going to do that, am I? Nah. So close.
Just missed that gambler.
Yeah.
That is a hard gambler because you're just on such a short time limit.
Yeah, he moved backwards, which is a very unlucky pattern, and it's very difficult to catch him, but I got luckier here and should be able to get him.
Now, on the first gambler, do you still do the empty hit before
Yeah, we
starting
do.
Thunders?
Yep.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
I'm going to claim credit for that.
Founded by the one and only the Midget 2000s.
That's my strat. Alright, so this is a bit of a fetch quest. We just have to go deal with the gamblers, get these extra medallions before heading off to the final boss of this world.
There we go.
What you'll see Ninten doing, I'll talk about it now because it gets a bit intense in the boss fight, is when he's doing air combos with Genie, normally he would only get 2 horizontal slashes in his combos, but you notice that he just did like 6. So what happens is, with Genie, if you're halfway through a combo and you quickly form change Genie, it resets your combo and allows him to either just continue infinitely with finishes if he was able to do it that fast, or get 2 more horizontal slashes and just keep an enemy staggered for so long, getting mass amounts of damage output. You'll see that again on this boss just here to clear the first phase.
Right, it's actually pretty difficult to do because of how input intensive it is. You have to move through the menu really quickly.
So just watch how he does this. That's crazy. That was beautiful. Alright, VG gonna try the same thing here.
Let's go!
Make some room!
Now the gimmick with this boss is that he's actually not able to be damaged while there are any medallions not in the chest. So the only way to to get the medallions away from him is to use magic. So we have to be careful with how we use our magic here, and just manage our MP, because also if we use our magic just to get the coins out, we're going to have such a slow time actually moving him between the phases. Alright, so now he's going to take all of the coins, and Ninten's going to make use of Master Form. Now the cool thing about Master Form is every Thunder that Ninten does actually does 3 Thunders. So we're taking 150 coins roughly off this boss with every Thunder. What also is happening is that his MP is slightly getting refilled, because while he's doing the Thunders, the Keyblades are actually swinging around and hitting the boss. And physical attacks drop MP orbs off this boss. So now we're just trying to keep him staggered through the last phase with Comet in between our own combos, and finish him off.
Yeah, it's very hard to keep him staggered in Comet. You have to time your Comet just right, and like I mentioned before, for the last frame per fight, you have to keep him staggered.
Alright, VG just about to finish the fight as well.
Oh.
No. Oh, you got him.
He's going to teleport again.
Yeah, another thing to mention is that his scythe has like a really huge hitbox, and you can't really damage him on his scythe. It just kind of knocks you away. So that is what makes it very difficult, is that you keep getting pushed away by his scythe when you're trying to do air combos.
That's where you get the most 60 FPS glitch.
Yeah.
You can get launched pretty far if you end up in the wrong position.
All right. I can't wait to talk about Duck Flare as well.
Yeah, we just got Duck Flare.
We just got the ability Duck Flare, which is another one of Donald's limits. Now, for whatever reason, moving from the PS2 version to the English PS3 and PS4 versions and PC of this game, they made Duck Flare last about twice as long, which is crazy how long it lasts, how much damage it does. Now, the other cool thing about it is, while an enemy is being hit by a Duck Flare, any move you do, for example, an aerial spiral, which is a set of 3 hits that does like a big bit of damage, then a small bit of damage, then another small bit of damage. All of those hits just do the big piece. It resets the damage reduction on all those combos while the Duck Flare is hitting. So we do insane amounts of damage to bosses so quickly, all while under the safety of a limit.
Yeah, but right there you saw me get hit by the Jack-in-the-Box, and the reason for that is that we have once more, so I'm able to survive the 2 hits from him, and then we summon Stitch, and he's just there to make sure the enemies don't kill us when we're trying to grab the Bokeh Vendors. And because we boosted the Bokeh Vendors with EXP boost, we got a ton of EXP, and that should let us hit level 30, which is the last level that we need to worry about.
Let's go.
Alright, good. Able to EXP boost over here as well on VG's screen.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah.
So, abusing Jack's limit here because it sucks in all the enemies, pulls the enemies into our reflect, so they all get hit by that, and we're able to clear this before the tombstone enemies come out, because everything the tombstones do one-shots you.
Yeah, and also we're going on to the most luck-based minigame in the run. So right here we just have to get 100 points worth of presents, and the bigger that the present is, the more points you get. But it's completely random which ones come out, and you cannot change, you cannot manipulate it whatsoever. It's just completely luck-based minigame.
These minigames are probably a good time for a quick donation or a plug if we've got any.
Yeah, I've actually got a few. So the first one, Ryan, I'm going to need your help. This is $40 from Anonymous. It says donation goes to commentator's choice.
Well, I've just learned that dog ending isn't apparently in the Silent Hill game that we're running. So, look, $40. If we haven't met that Spy vs. Spy cosplay, let's get it to that.
Well, actually, our second donation is a $50 donation from Megaslayer321A, which says $10 for Pokemon rival title name, and $40 to Spy cosplay, which means we have met the Spy cosplay. So, Craigle Bagel. Yeah.
Name sounds like a fantastic name for our rival, so let's put the other $40 to that.
$40 to that, thank you. And also we had $30 from Kenora that says, can't believe what a close race this has been. Let's go VG and Ninten. Money goes towards abandoning that poor deepness grub. Which means that abandon is at $80, while save is at $150. We're going to be closing that quite soon as the run is coming up, so get those donations into that.
So you're seeing how good Duck Flare is right here. I'm actually annihilating this boss by doing air combos during the Duck Flare. And like I mentioned before, when you do a hits during the Duck Flare, because the Duck Flares are hitting him during our attacks, all of our attacks do more damage. And we're able to beat him with just 3 Duck Flares.
It just lasts so long.
Yeah, it's not meant... And the original version, it lasted like maybe 5 seconds, and now it lasts like a minute. It's so long.
Oh, I love Duck Flare. Duck Flare's near and dear to my heart, as, I don't know, a few of you might know. Shouts to Saiyans, PS3 Kings. I used to run the PS3 version of this game, which is horrendous on loads. It takes 5 hours to do the same thing these guys are doing in just under 2.5. But that's where we first got to experience this crazy Duck Flare in the final mix version of the game.
So we got more Bokeh Vendors here, and we could get them if we're low on EXP, but thankfully I think we're both fine.
Your EXP is good. Your EXP is good.
Nice.
I think.
I did not check. So
You hit 28 on the last Bokeh Vendors, so I think you're good.
You need like 3,800 to next level after that to be safe, but at worst, I just do things in a slightly different order here.
Yeah, it's not a big deal if you don't hit it. It's only a big deal if you lose out on all of the bulky EXP because you get so much from them.
Yeah.
The cool thing about this run is we have backups upon backups. Like, if something goes wrong, like, there's always ways to finish a run. You know, there's a lot of speed games out there where it's like, oh, I didn't hit this one trick, I have to reset. But with Kingdom Hearts, there's always a way to finish.
Yeah, and a lot of fights, you don't expect them to go the same way every time as well. A lot of the game is actually just reacting to whatever patterns you get, and that's what builds consistency, is just learning how enemies react to everything.
Alright, so this part of Agrabah 2, you're on the flying carpet. The flying carpet is a pain to control. We really want to try and catch everything in our magnets because we want to be moving around with the carpet as little as possible. Although the interesting thing is it actually changes how some of your abilities work. The most notable one being the slide dash, which you just saw VG use. It actually makes it do way more damage because it does so many extra hits. But yeah, in terms of these enemy fights that are going to be coming up, we just want to try and sit in one spot, use Reflect into Magnet into Finishing Leap, rinse, repeat.
Yeah, I want to lure them into a corner so that they just stay there. Thankfully, it worked out really well right there. If it goes badly, you can die real quickly, especially to the Crimson Jazz right there.
Yeah, that guy one-shots you very easily.
Yeah. Which is the case for most things in the game at this point. We're in the end game, we're a much lower level. Even though with auto grinding, we're still a much lower level than you're supposed to be.
Okay, I've got plenty of experience.
Yeah, your XP is good. Alright, so just a little mini game to go around and hit these switches. There's not much to it. There's a few out of bounds in this area, which is pretty cool, but they don't do anything.
Yeah.
The next section we're coming up to is it's an auto-scroller, but it's a good way to get that last bit of experience before the boss of this world. Like VG was saying, if you don't get the experience, there is a backup. We just do things in a bit of a different order. But ideally, these guys will both be hitting level 30 before they get out of that auto-scroller minigame.
Yeah, one thing to mention, like Midget mentioned, for some reason some abilities don't work the same way when you're in this carpet section, and EXP boost is one of them, so it would be nice if you could use EXP boost here in this timed section, but fortunately we cannot.
Yeah.
The reason being is because the terrain is killing most of these enemies. You'll see we're knocking them into different pillars or buildings, so it doesn't actually consider Sora to be killing the enemies. If you were to keep one of these wizards sort of alive and actually just never use a finisher, hit him with the Keyblade until he was dead while half health, it would work, but it's not safe nor efficient to do so.
Right, and also that's the case for the rest of the game, that we have to make sure that Sora is the one killing the enemies on all the other boosting sections. It can't be our party members.
Yeah.
Alright, so while we go through this auto-scroller, yeah, if we've got any more things to say.
For sure. I think I might do another shout out for the prizes that we have for this event. If you donate at least $10, you'll be eligible to win one of 8 Landfall game bundles, comprising of 3 of their greatest hits, which are Cluster Truck, Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, and Nightfall. And for those within Australia, if you donate $20 or more, you'll go into the running to win a pair of HyperX Cloud earbuds, $40 or more, and you'll be in the running to win one of 2 HyperX Cloud 2 gaming headsets. For more information, you can visit prizes.ausspeedruns.com. And of course, we thank Landfall and our major sponsor HyperX for providing these wonderful prizes.
Alright, so right here, hit level 30, and that is the level that you want to hit. And now we don't have to worry about EXP for the rest of the run. That is the last level milestone there.
Yeah. There is like one more at level 34, but you have to be very, very under-experienced to not get that.
Don't die here.
Oh,
okay.
Oh no.
Yeah, I like to get hit by the first one because it gives you iframes and you don't take damage from the second one. Kind of funny.
Alright, so now because we love the carpet so much, we're just going to fight the boss on the carpet as well. Thanks, devs. The cool thing about it, though, is it does make for some interesting changes to our combos. Right now, we've actually equipped a different Keyblade, the Decisive Pumpkin. Now, while Hero's Crest made our air combo finishers do more damage, Decisive Pumpkin while also having the biggest strength, makes our ground combo finishers do a ton of damage. That, combined with the fact that our slide dash has changed on the carpet and now does like 3 extra hits, means our combo finishers on Jafar do a crazy amount of damage. So we're going to really be trying to abuse that while also making sure we keep an eye on HP gates to make sure we avoid what we call his desperation move. So a desperation move is basically where he will go invincible, do a bunch of really hard to dodge stuff, and likely results in death. So you may see Ninten slow down to an HP gate here, or just bust right through it because he's got plenty of damage. He does, by the way. And so we shouldn't see him sort of change the battlefield at all.
Right, so you want to do as much damage as possible before he gets back up. And it's a little scary because if you give him any more time than we allow him, then he'll go right into ADM, but that was a pretty good fight.
That was a great fight.
What are you doing?
The DM is really scary, by the way. It's very easy to die after.
Yeah, the DM itself is actually rather a tame attack, but then afterwards he starts doing an attack where he just summons fireballs and lightning everywhere, and it's very weird.
Fireballs and lightning that you just cannot, you can't guard against it, you have to reflect, but while you're reflecting, you can't do anything.
Yeah,
you can't move
and
on
he just
the carpet,
keeps doing it.
And they just don't stop.
Yeah.
Alright, so, hey, another achievement.
Yeah, I'm getting all the achievements.
So now we're heading back to Beast Castle, and we're going to finish off Zaldun after killing these Dragoons. The Dragoons are pretty easy to deal with. You just do Magnet Finishing Nib as per usual.
The scary thing is, though, like Ninten said earlier, there's more one-shots with these guys.
Yeah.
So if you find yourself sitting on the wrong bit of the ground at the wrong time, a Dragoon will just come down on top of your head and one-shot you.
Yeah, so when they spawn in right here, that will kill you. And they spawn the same spot every time, so we know how to avoid them, but...
Hey, that's the Trinity Magnet I was talking about earlier, where they just get sucked in and out, until they just pop. It's fantastic to watch.
Alright, so right here I'm going to try to get 9 jumps at the beginning. I have to match pretty hard for this, so let me just concentrate. There we go.
I don't know how you do that so well.
Let's go.
Like, you have to
That's
mash
very hard to do.
insanely fast to get those.
Yeah. I do it a slightly different way.
I have to always go through 2 cycles. Ah, yep.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that strat.
Nice aerial dodge parry there. Gives you a lot more time to get the jumps that you need.
Yes, these jumps, they do so much damage because of our reaction boosts and just our strength at this point in the game. And then we can just combo that into a duck flare, just doing insane damage, keeping him stunned the whole time. And Zaldun's easy.
Yeah, so I mentioned before horizontal slash is really good. We use it with duck flare right there. During the horizontal slash, it keeps bosses stunned for a pretty long time, and we can use that time to stagger them again with duck flare or end duck flare, and we use that a lot for the bosses coming up.
For if you have the right setup on your character, you can actually almost infinitely stun bosses using that combination. Alright, so this is a pretty basic fight here. We're back on the summit. The rapid thrusters don't make too much of a difference here unless they give you the RC. Otherwise, they kind of just sit there, give you a little bit of experience. But we're fighting Riku. We need to get him down to about 1.5 bars of health before we can progress. Mostly, we just use limit form to do so because he likes to create gaps between you and the character, and Sonic Blade does a great job of closing that gap.
Yeah, one more thing to mention is that Riku is one of the only bosses in the game that has what I call super armor, which means that he doesn't get staggered by your attacks, and that's what makes him so annoying, is that he just kind of doesn't care that you're comboing him.
Now, VG unfortunately ran out of drive during the Riku fight, so he is going to have to cop a little bit of a time loss here, moving a bit slower down the mountain. But Ninten's going to do another one of these Magnet Trinities. Oh my god.
That was a really good Trinity. It killed basically everything.
I don't know if you guys caught how quick that health bar was going down, but that went down so quick.
Yeah, you get something like 250 hits from that one Magnet Trinity. Pretty insane damage.
And the great thing for VG here is that's going to fully refill his drive gauge,
Yeah.
which
Yeah, it's at
he's
1.
going to want that for coming up here.
And now it's at 5.
Give me strength.
Alright, so we've got a new enemy here as well. This is snipers. So snipers, half their bullets will two-shot you, the other half will one-shot you. So what we just try to do is, once again, use Magnet, keep them all gathered together. It's really cool when because their bullets sort of sit in the air for a little bit, so you can really easily set up a reflect into Magnet, which just does absurd damage. But Ninten's going to be moving on to Storm Rider here, which is the final boss of this world. And what a shock, we're going to see more Duck Flare. This ability is just insane. I can't stress that enough.
It's really important that we stay on the back of Storm Rider because we cannot get back up very easily. And we want to deal a certain amount of damage here, just below 4 bars is okay. Now I'm going to land and summon Stitch and hope that he licks Sora. There we go, I got really lucky there. That's how you get your MP refilled. You can save an ether that way. And now I'm going to reflect into this reaction command. And we want to use Duck Flare as he lands because he gets stunned for a while. And the reaction command does a lot of damage, so we have enough damage with Duck Flare to kill him down here if we're lucky.
So Ninten using those aerial dives and aerial spirals that I was talking about earlier.
There we go.
Yes, just got the final hit.
Stitch.
All that damage resetting.
Stitch.
Oh no.
Please. No.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, so if you get unlucky there, you have to use an ether.
Sad. Oh, I missed the reflect damage. This could be interesting.
we'll see what happens here for VG.
Oh no. That's,
Oh no.
yeah, this is not going to go very well, I think.
I got really lucky that I was able to kill him after a Duck Flare. Usually you cannot do any more damage after.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's definitely not going to be enough damage.
Luckily another
Ah,
Stitch.
it's a Stitch again. This time he helps.
There you go. So he should just land in the middle here now. We can Duck Flare him just to finish him off. Nice. Good job.
Not too bad.
And with that, we're done with all the Disney worlds for the game. We are moving on to end game.
Boss rush time.
Soon, yeah. So we're back in Twilight Town. This is the last time we'll be seeing Twilight Town. We have 2 fights to do here, and they're a little bit annoying. There's a lot of luck that goes into these 2, mainly because we're going to have different party members for them. The first one will be Mickey, and Mickey likes to knock away the nobodies from Sora. And we don't want that to happen because we're going to be using Magnet with Genie. And I'm not sure if you explained how Magnet Genie works, but basically the same way that Trinity will knock the enemies back and forth into Magnet, we're going to do that with Master Genie Limit.
And Master Genie does a ton of damage as well on its own, plus all that Magnet damage. The good thing about Genie Limit is he will actually bring the enemies into the Magnet himself. Well, for most enemies. Some enemies we do have to land the Magnet right on their heads to do it. But you can see here, we're just carving through these enemies, all getting sucked in by Genie, going in and out of the Magnet. Mickey's just sitting there looking cool, I guess.
You can knock them out of the magnet sometimes, which is very annoying.
Hopefully we don't see Mickey affecting the fight too much, and it looks like we've got a pretty good fight here going from Ninten.
Yeah, I got very lucky. Mickey didn't do the attack that knocks them away. So for all of the nobodies other than the Samurai, you want to be far away in magnets, and then for the Samurai, you have to go close to the magnet, because the enemies have like different weight properties. It's kind of interesting.
Alright, we see VG trying the same strat here. It's really important not to be locked onto one of these smaller enemies when you cast the magnet, because even if your like auto-target thing is on one of the smaller enemies, it means your Genie limit is just not going to be where your magnet is, and you will do significantly less damage. But looks like VG got a great fight as well.
Alright, so we got a short Dusk fight right here. We're just going to do a Vicinity Break, which is an attack that attacks everything around Sora. And then we're going to reflect the retaliation into a Magnet Finishing Leap, do a Fire and a Duck Flare, and that should mostly cure everything after ending it, like that.
Alright, so We've got another fight with an additional party member here. Although our 2 other party members are gone, we have Axel. And Axel likes to either do nothing, do lots, or just knock enemies all the way to the corners of the map. We want him to use that move where he just spins his chakrams within our magnet, because same theory, in and out of the magnet, tons of damage. So probably going to go limit form here just to refill our MP. Because with so many assassins around that can easily one-shot you, it's scary to use anything other than magnet. Right, so Ninten is using a limit here to finish this off.
That guy's alive. There might be another one after. Okay. Yeah, even our C to stop them from blowing up. That would one-shot you if you were to blow up on Axel and hit me. But it wasn't too bad.
Alright, VG catching all the enemies in the magnet there.
Alright, so we're coming up on the boss rush here. I need to concentrate on the Roxas strat because there's a lot going on and it's really cool to look at. I'm going to do a riskier one right now, and then if I die, I'll do a safer one. But hopefully we get it first try.
One Dusk, please. Come back.
Alright. This is an additional boss added by the Final Mix version of the game. Incredibly fun boss, but incredibly difficult.
Let's go.
Ninten's going to be playing around with his revenge value here, making sure that Roxas only retaliates when he wants him to. What we're trying to do is make sure that we skip this big move where he goes into the middle of the screen and just sends all these light balls at you. That move takes a long time and is very scary to deal with the aftermath of, much like the theory on Genie Jafar. Nice, very good fight.
The fight is very difficult. There's a lot going on.
I have to improvise this because I have done the wrong strat.
Take that. There.
He's gonna DM. Yeah.
Alright, so this is the move that we typically try to avoid. He'll sit up in the air here and he'll just shoot balls of light at you. What's probably more scary though is after this, he is a little bit unpredictable on how he's going to act. A little pause buffer there just to make sure we've controlled him. Oh, caught out by the laser.
Yeah, the lasers one-shot you, or they are close to one-shotting you.
Alright, so Ninten forcing some anti-form here. This is going to reduce his anti-points because we haven't had a new form in quite a while. We've racked up a few anti-points. And there's a few fights coming up that, well, if he tries to do a form without doing that, he will just go anti-form. So, forcing it with the 2-become-1 Keyblade before a quick shop and into Zart. It's not Zart.
Zigbar. Alright, so on Zigbar we're going to be using Duck Flare. We're going to be doing very particular combos to keep him staggered into the Duck Flare, as we keep mentioning. It's very important that we don't stagger him any additional times because that'll cause him to DM. So
Take this. This is it.
using Duck Flare right here. Gonna stagger him with the rockets, do an aerial dive. Now we're gonna do a lot of air combos as he's getting staggered by the Flare Force. I'm kinda under damaged here. We're gonna go into Batter form to get
Much better.
Alright, Ninten getting the Duck Flares off here on Zigbar, trying to keep him stunned. He's past the HP gate to where Zigbar will DM if he doesn't finish him off here, or if he doesn't keep the stagger. Nice fight.
Yeah, so we went to Battle for mostly to get our magic back and also to do an air combo to make sure he has enough damage on him. I got pretty lucky that I killed him right there. I was a little under damaged.
Can I just say, guys, it is crazy that, like, with critical mode, and so much has happened in this run. You guys are still so close. Can we give a
Yeah.
round of applause to how close these runners still are at this point in the game? They're only one fight apart. This critical mode really just is that tough. It's worth shouting out.
Yeah, it's very common to finish a run that's like plus 5 minutes from your PB just because of deaths.
Yeah. Definitely lose several minutes to deaths.
Alright, Ninten moving on to Luxord here. Luxord has this interesting gimmick where his health bar is this time gauge up the top. What we're going to be really trying to do is abuse a lot of reflex here. What he can do is spawn cards, and at some point I believe we're going to be trying to use the attacks of those cards to combo reflect after reflect after reflect, because it just does so much damage.
Okay, so this is really scary. I'm going to improvise here. Should be fine.
It's worth
Hopefully.
mentioning that from the Roxas fight, we got an ability called Combo Master. And what Combo Master does is it allows Sora to continue with a combo, even if he didn't hit anything. So normally in the game, physical attacks would need to hit something in order to actually continue a combo. God, that's crazy damage. And so with the Combo Master ability, we're able to put physical attacks between our magic, which means we can actually go reflect into like a slap shot or another hit and then reflect again, which means we do just crazy damage to bosses just by letting them retaliate on us, which is where knowing the revenge value really becomes important.
Alright, and now we're going to go for the DM skip here. When his time gauge is about here, he's going to DM if we let him, but we're going to try to keep him staggered. So I'm going to go into limit form after the Trinity, do a hit, and then do a ground combo into an R's. And we're not finishing the R's because it allows us to keep him stun locked into our combo. And then one more combo into another R's, and that should be it.
Nice. Yeah, the finisher of ours adds 13 to the revenge value, which pretty much makes any boss insta-retaliate. But the other hits don't add any, so we generally try to avoid the finisher.
The first to run out of time.
Yeah, you basically
is the
never want to
loser.
use the R's finisher. Hopefully VG can show off the opening.
This is it. Yeah.
Alright, Ninten moving on now to Syx. Syx has this Berserk phase where pretty much any damage you do to him is reduced to 1, and pretty much he goes crazy with his attacks. They do more damage, and they just they don't stop. He has super armor. You can't stagger him. So we've got to knock him out of that, and then we're just going to really try and abuse Duck Flare in this fight. Get some reflex. We've refilled the MP. Oh, and Duck Flare to keep him staggered. So what we're going to do here, once again, no finishes, because the finisher will knock him into the air, and then the Duck Flare will actually carry him off into space, pretty much. So
Yeah,
now
so
we
it's a little
should
bit
be
under
ending
damage.
this Duck Flare here. A few more aerial spirals, and clean.
Alright, so I actually got the perfect Luxord RNG. He did not use any cards.
Oh
so
my
that
God.
makes the fight very easy. Really, just keep reflecting his minigame.
And more importantly, catching up. The race is still so close.
It's very close.
Alright. So now Ninten has Riku as a party member, which is great because he comes with 2 ethers, which we steal.
Yoink.
We're then just going to go into Wisdom form and make our way to Xemnas 1.
Yep, so Xemnas 1 is a little bit more of a simpler fight than the rest. We're just going to be repeatedly doing reflect, slapshot, reflect, thanks to Combo Master.
Back off. Gather.
So at the beginning here, he's going to use this like seal attack, and then he'll want us to go up to the building. If you stagger him, it is actually possible to skip this, but the fight becomes very slow if you're trying to avoid it, so it's just better to take it. And there's 3 RCs you can get here. If you wait, then you get the end RC, which does a lot more damage than the other RC, so we actually want to time this RC. Most of the time we just smash it. Some of them you have to time. Or finish RC.
Because we have 2 reaction boosts here as well, the finish RC actually just does a ton of damage, like a bar and a half. Nice, VG just finishing up Psyx. So really abusing that combo master with those reflects.
Yeah, in the beginning of the fight, we can just keep doing reflex after reflect, and he'll retaliate on the ground, but now he'll start teleporting around, which is a bit annoying. He has 2 options. He'll either do the guard attack, which is a little bit worse than just a regular attack. No big deal, though. Now we're going to go into limit for the ending here. This R's into a ground combo, and another R's should be enough. And it's important that we go into limit to kill him on the last bar, because if we don't kill him, then he'll go into the building again, which wastes a ton of time.
Also, we don't want to use limit too early because we want to have full drive gauges coming into the final fights, which we're now up to.
Please.
So once we move past this door, that's it. The race is really on.
Come closer.
Alright, VG on the Xemnas 1 fight. Ninten slicing through some buildings.
It's kind of insane that Sora can just slice through like 10 buildings at once.
Yeah. That's pretty weird, huh?
It's a little weird. He's like, where was that earlier in the game?
Alright, so the start of these final fights, we have to deal with these couple of little engine cores. Pretty much, we've got these bomb nobodies that we just do a magnet that instantly knocks them into the cylinders. It's pretty chill, this starting part. We're just going to go into a form after to make sure we refill our MP as well.
Yeah, so we're just using magnets to catch all of the bombs. You have to destroy it before the beam fully charges, which is pretty easy to do. Don't want to waste too many ethers, so we use the drive form. We're also going to use master form on the core after this section. Master form magnet also lasts longer than base star magnet, which is the case for a lot of spells. They're different.
Nice. VG also now up to final fights. Alright, so this is the scary part of this sort of pre-boss rush section, is the core. So there's a few things going on here. Some magnet trinities, some magnet genies, all with just a ton of enemies that will 1 or 2 shot you very easily. We also have to be scared of there's these claws that come down from the back of the room, but hopefully, if done right, we should never see them.
So we're going to do some more genie looping, if I can do it here, and then go into master genie limit. Gonna get hit on purpose by the berserker to get into the perfect position to do this magnet.
It's crazy that getting hit positions you perfectly.
And then we're gonna do a magnet right here, and then another magnet into Trinity, and this should kill all of the assassins. And now this Trinity will do damage to the creeper, and then after it dies, it'll do damage to the core. And then we're gonna go into Vader form, because Vader form
The ground combos are insane.
Yeah. I'm gonna go into Duckfire because I actually want to rebuild my drive up to 3 because I want my magic back for the next fight.
There's those claws coming down, but once again, Ninten is in a limit, so he is invulnerable.
Alright, this strat is a little hard to do because there's a lot of inputs at once at this start.
Give me strength. Gather.
Comboing, throwing an item, activating a limit all at once. But my goodness, is it fast. Awesome.
Yeah, it's very hard because you throw an elixir, and while the elixir is in the air, you activate Duck Flare so that the elixir drops on Sora as you're running out of MP, so you get your MP back and then you can do another Duck Flare after.
Alright, so now Ninten's up to Dragon Xemnas. Dragon Zemnis, just enemies will spawn. You can absorb their hits to build up the Mega Laser. Also, just knocking the enemies in will hurt the pieces of the dragon. Now, while this looks like an auto-scroller, there are plenty of ways to speed it up. Making sure you're accurate with your combos, as well as doing what Ninten's doing, finisher cancelling, because the action of shooting the laser or pressing the drain button will actually reset your number of finishes, so you can actually use infinite finishes pretty much.
Took a hit there. It's a little scary because I think you can take 4 hits before you die. We should be okay, but it'll be really scary if I take another one. Yeah, so I have to be pressing X and square. I have to press X, then square, then X, and repeat that, or X, circle, and X if I want to drain the beams. And it's actually pretty hard to do. It kind of hurts your hands.
I make use of the custom controls to make sure I can do it, because I cannot reach my hand across the controller like that.
I think now's a good time for some donations.
Yeah, if you've got any quick donations, go for it.
Yeah, fantastic. We have $30 from Anonymous. It says this goes to WhooperZ for the Pokemon Heart Gold player name, WhooperZ. And we also had $40 from Rockle Coop with no comment. Thank you both for your donations.
Oh, that's fantastic. We've had so many good donations during the KH block. I just want to say I'm so thankful to be able to have a KH block at ASM. We've shown off some awesome games. And I'm so glad that everyone's enjoying it enough to donate as much as they have. It's insane.
Okay, I was a little afraid of missiles right there. It's kind of hard to avoid them, and I'm not sure if I was up in their hit, but we should be okay now. Dying here is also a really long death. You lose like 3 minutes maybe.
It's a really long death. Alright, nice. Completed.
Alright. And we only got 2 more boss fights to go.
Down to the wire.
So this boss can near one-shot you with every hit. There's only one hit that doesn't one-shot you, and that one does a lot of damage still. We're just going to be manipulating his revenge value to get a lot of reflection along with our combos. He'll push us back right here, and when he pushes us back, we have to use an RC on one of the buildings. But their spawns are consistent, so we know exactly where to go to get to the building. Now we're going to do a thing here called laser skip, where we do an aerial dodge and glide, which is our movement abilities here. And that skips him from summoning 3 laser beams.
The good thing about having Riku in this fight as well is that he has a significant heal, and he likes to use it. So lucky for us, we've got him there as well. We don't have to use all our potions. We can just keep comboing.
Alright, so right here I'm going to mash circle and get a bunch of jumps off to try to jump over these beams. And what that does is it manipulates the buildings to spawn in a good way so that we can get this really quick building right here. So just kind of fall in at the edge to see what he's doing, because he can do random things. You don't want to fall into death.
Nice. Ninten up to the final boss.
Alright, so Final Zemnis is really cool to look at the beginning. So he's going to grab us and throw us up, but we're going to reflect it. And we're going to be using reversals in between reflects while trying to get damage off.
It's good to note, not all of these Zemnises are the real Zemnis. He does actually have a clone in the fight, so using Reflect at every single point here will actually not damage him that much. So really good knowledge by the player to know when you can actually Reflect that ball of lightning would have actually killed Ninten. So real quick thinking using the limit there. Might have to do a bit of improvisation now that he doesn't have the MP. But still, we're able to get a decent amount of damage off with this limit.
Yeah, limit is also just a good safety strat here. So we go into limit form when he gets to 4 bars of HP and do an Rs. Our goal is to skip his laser beam. So we're going to do a full combo into another Rs. And now we're going to keep him staggered with an attack, grow an ether, and then do a full combo, grow another ether. And now we have full MP and we can reflect these lasers. If you're unlucky, he'll do lasers again. He'll do lasers here. If you're lucky, he'll throw you again. You can do the thing that we did at the beginning of the fight. But this is fine.
Alright. Now we've just got a quick button mash and Ninten should be done.
Yeah, now you gotta press X and triangle to block with both Sora and Riku. Unfortunately, we cannot skip this. You can get him to 1 HP, but he just won't die until this sequence happens.
Anger and hate are supreme.
Did you get it, VG?
I missed a gut break.
Oh, there's a really cool strat
I also
that...
run out of ammo.
Oh no.
Alright, we'll have to take this a bit slow.
Safety strats.
Oh god.
This is it. It's over.
So there's a really cool strat that VG is trying to do here. Instead of reflecting...
Oh, really? That? Okay.
That's unfortunate. There's a cooler strat you can do finals on this, where you get a guard break off and you do some ground combos on him during the grab move.
Well. It's going to be very interesting now.
And time's coming up for me, by the way. And time.
Nice.
Yeah, there's not really a great way to deal with Zemnis while he's in this phase. Riku, I would like some help, please.
Can you spare?
Okay.
Nice.
Oh,
Now
that
just
1
don't
HP.
die.
Now I just need to not miss any inputs.
Nice. So now we just need to watch this cutscene.
Yep. Same cutscene
We'll be able
again.
to give him the final hit.
A minute of Sora bashing on final zones.
Yeah, so I want to give shout outs to the cage community and the cage block. Both auto runs were really amazing. Also, both of us, I think, only had 1 death, right?
I had 2.
2 deaths. That's
Roxas
not
and 1 kill.
Yeah, that's a really, really good.
Really good
Yeah,
run.
that's a really good runs.
What was yours? I didn't.
I was deathless.
Oh,
my-
you were deathless?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, nice.
Riku.
Yeah, deathless and crit is pretty crazy hard to do. Most people, like most PBs on the leaderboard, including mine, for example, do have a death in them, and it's still like you can still get pretty good times with it, just because of how hard the category is.
And
And time.
Yep. Time.
Nice.
So I want to mention really quick, if you guys want to get into Kingdom Hearts speedrunning, then go to discord.gg/cagespeedruns, I think. And the Cage Speedrunning Discord has some really good guides, has really good people that are willing to help out with learning any cage category. A lot of the cage games have really cool speedruns. So yeah.
And shout outs to all the cage runners who are here but didn't even have a run. They still turned up anyway,
Yeah.
still to give so much love and support. Thank you guys.
Sora.
Yeah.
I can't.
I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's all.
Yeah, I think that's all for us. Yep.
It's not over. It's just not.